Good morning, West Orange, and thank you for your patience. We are a few moments behind our scheduled start time of 11:30. This is our continuing series of West Orange Township Council budget workshops. You are welcome to join us in council chambers here at 66 Main Street, but there will be no public comment in person or online. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to our council president.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan, and I'm going to immediately turn it over to our deputy clerk to start us off, please.
This is to inform the general public that this workshop is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The notice for this workshop was emailed to the West Orange Chronicle and Star Ledger on July 30th, 2025. Councilwoman Castellino?
She will not be attending. She is on vacation.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Here.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Present.
Council President Krukowiak?
Present.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome, West Orange, to our 10th budget workshop for the 2025 municipal budget. This one is on August 1st, 2025. The draft budget from the mayor proposed to raise municipal property taxes by 6.2%. We have knocked that increase down to around 2%, and we're looking for additional efficiencies and savings. If you want to follow along, please go to the Township website, westorange.org. Use the search box in the upper right hand of the page, type in budget, then click on the first result, and you'll see the top item is the budget version, the most recent budget version dated July 22nd that we'll be working from today. And Mr. Zatiniak will presently take you on a guided tour to how to get there. We are not taking public comment tonight. If you want to comment or ask questions, please send an email to council@westorange.org, which, despite what you may think, also goes to the mayor and several people in her administration. If you want to send just to the council, send it to one of us and ask for distribution to each of us. If you need email addresses, search for council on the Township website. Recordings of the workshops are on the Township website. Find them by searching for Video Gallery. We also have a member of the Citizens Budget Advisory Board up here on the dais. Ms. Michaela Bennett is representing them and will be engaged in our discussions. Just want to ask everybody to speak into the microphones so that everybody can hear. If you're a council member on Zoom, please raise your digital hand so Mr. Fagan can see, and then wait until the chair recognizes you. If you see me pointing or nodding to Mr. Fagan after you raise your hand, that is my acknowledgement that I will call on you as soon as I can. When you are finished, please say so. I think we've settled on thank you. And lastly, I urge everyone to consider time efficiency in their comments and questioning to be sure that what you say is necessary. The faster we carefully go through the budget, the better. Mr. Zatiniak, where would you like to go tonight?
Thank you, Council President. For everyone on Zoom, if you'd like to go to the budget document that we're going to be looking at and working off of today, I'm on the front page of westorange.org. I think this might be Council President's house up on the side here. I'm not sure. I'm going to go to departments, and I'm going to go to finance. And I'm going to go to the left side, and we have budget here. And we're going to click on municipal budget as of July 22nd, 2025. It's a PDF document. It's printable. It's also searchable. So if you want to put in a keyword term and search for it, it certainly will work that way. Rather than letting this load up, I'll go to the one that I already have loaded up here. I believe we left off with questions.
Yes, I would. I just want to make a statement. Yesterday, in order to speed this process, I met with Mr. Zatiniak for 2.5 hours. I very much appreciate your time. And the intention was to go through each of the changes that we could agree on. And together, we have cut the budget another $330,000, $330,469.40. So I'd just like to ask Council President how you would like to proceed. Do you want each item to do you want to go into an explanation for each item, or do you want, how do you want to do this? We've
Well, If
finished up until page 81, and we made cuts.
if I may, we did go through the items and I gave you the amount spent, but I think, you'd still have to
Yes.
have your council members vote on any changes that you'd like to make, and if anyone wants to speak up from administration, they should have that opportunity. So
Absolutely.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm co-signing on every single thing we talked about. I gave you information to what was spent year to date, and so still go through it in the manner that we have been.
Yes, so I'm not really sure what pages you went over, but I'm assuming, am I correct in assuming that you guys went in consecutive order where?
Yeah, we started on fire operating expenses. That's where we started, which would be like page 70 or 71.
Beg your pardon. What in the world? Apologies. I do note that Mr. Fonzino is in the audience, and I wonder if that's something that perhaps we could address sooner rather than later, so he can get back to his day job.
Well, Council President, I do have Chief Vecchio also on the line. He's on vacation. He hopped on, so I would deference to Fonzino. I'd rather give Chief Vecchio the opportunity, since he is actually on vacation, than we are on the fire.
There should be extras back, right? So I think Karen had some.
So if I will only because I know he's online, and if we're going to discuss the fire department, I'd like him to continue his vacation as quickly as possible, if we can get him on, if that's your desire.
Okay, that's fine. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yeah, I just want to say, I want to hear from both of them, of course, before we make any determinations of what we want to do.
Certainly, we'll have to do that, yes. Okay, so given what's going on, do we want to, we were in the middle of the fire budget, right?
Correct. That's where we stopped on Tuesday. So we stopped at page 66, which would be the fire department salary and wage budget. That's where we paused because we knew it would take time to go through. So that's where we're at right now.
So, Chief Vecchio, thank you for joining us from your vacation. I hope the weather there is better than ours. I don't know whether you've had discussions or saw the last budget workshop video, so you know some of the things we talked about in relation to the fire budget. Is there anything that you want to bring up at this point that we have already gone over? Or can we just resume our discussions on page 66?
Chief, you need to unmute yourself.
I guess that answer is no.
Chief is currently on mute. Chief, can you hear us?
He might be putting on some suntan lotion, and that generally makes your fingers slippery, so perhaps he can't unmute himself. I'm just guessing here. While we're waiting, Mr. Tiniak, I want to follow up on your opening of your presentation where you pointed to the manor on the township website. And I used to tell my relatives, most of whom live in the South, how much my property taxes were, and they thought I lived in something like this. So I just stopped telling them what my property taxes are, because my home is much more modest.
Right.
I think that was the old line from Looney Tunes, Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire on a mansion window yacht.
Okay.
I don't recall that.
Okay. They were repeats when I was a kid.
Okay. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Detiniak, could he just recap where we are to date? Are these cuts that we have just through the 22nd, or are they through, today?
No, so that I figured we would go through all of the pages before I would update what the new increase is, but we
It
last,
would,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Ken. Yeah, 'cause
I just thought it would be helpful to know where we are to date each time.
West Orange Wireless.
I can have that available for the Monday night meeting, based off of
Yeah.
what we do today. I'll start the meeting with,
Yeah,
the cuts to date, what the new
exactly.
increase would be. So,
Yeah, I'd like to know each meeting where we are.
sure.
Thank you.
Council President, Chief Vecchio is online. Chief, can you hear us now? Chief, can you hear us? You are unmuted, but we don't hear you. You need to raise your volume level, perhaps? Chief? All right, Council President, I'll call him again, see if I can work something out for him.
Okay.
No.
Okay, you definitely unmuted.
No.
Is your microphone turned on?
While we're working on that connection, just to explain to anyone who's not aware what this budget workshop process has presented as, we went through the budget one time and a majority of the council did not want to take votes when we made decisions on particular pages. We have to sign off on all of the changes and all of the pages. So we started going back through a second time, and we might have expected that it would be a quick process. It has not been, because the council as a whole has gone back over and the material we went through and has looked at additional efficiencies. So while we're doing that, we were doing it, again, not having the directors or the people who are responsible for developing the individual department budgets here. And we had a discussion at the end of the last workshop that if the directors wanted to come back and be involved in the discussions, that was fine and certainly understandable. I was not expecting to have to go through the second round, but I think it's a good idea to have the directors back. So that's what we're trying to do here.
I have Director Cavallo is going to be coming down shortly, as well as we have Director Fonzino here.
Okay.
And we spoke to Director Reynolds yesterday. He can't be here today, but I know he had a conversation with Mr. Ditiniak.
Okay.
Those are the ones we see that we'll probably get to today. So
Well, we're going to have to see if we can get Chief on.
I think the Chief, can you hear us now? Chief, you said you thought you had it. If you are there, you're definitely on mute, but we can't hear your audio. Councilwoman Scarpa, just as an audio test, can you speak so we can hear you?
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
okay.
And I would recommend just calling him on the phone and putting it on speaker. That's what they've done with me when there's been problems and it works fine. It would expedite the process.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Mr. Ditiniak, what is the OT requested for the firefighters?
Tell me.
1,050,000.
Here,
And
Mike.
the OT spent, up to date. I have the spreadsheet, but I could not add it up on the way the Excel is
Yeah.
presented.
That's okay. I'll give it to you. So we're
Is it
eight hundred and 30,000.
As of today,
As of today, today's payroll.
Okay, and what was the year-to-date usage from July 1st to December 31st for 2024?
West Orange, Mr. Detiniak is retrieving information, so just if you hear dead air, there's nothing wrong with the feed.
I'll sing the Jeopardy song or something while I look things
I can
up.
hum that. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Chief, can you hear us? Okay, the chief has logged out and signed back in, and he is currently online and he is unmuted. But for whatever reason, he cannot hear us. We cannot hear him. There might be a problem on his laptop with his microphone. So I think what we'll try and do is we'll try to establish a phone connection, and perhaps he can join the meeting that way. I need my phone to communicate. I can't put it.
It's in the car.
Last year, we had overtime in the amount of 1,819,000.
Well, I'm sorry, that was from July 1st to
Oh, I
December?
thought you said all of 2024.
All of,
You want just July 24 to December of 24?
yes.
Okay.
Council President, I do have the chief on the phone. Do my best to. Chief, it sounds like you're on, we're gonna hang up on the second, we're gonna echo.
He just has to mute.
Yeah,
This
it
is
is Zoom.
This is,
Better?
Just to mute his laptop.
Do you hear that, chief? You gotta mute your laptop.
Okay, so
Actually, I
the,
prefer this. This is much more entertaining.
I just beat you there.
Yeah.
we had 900,000 in overtime in that 6-month period.
okay.
So we now have the chief.
Yep.
We're now at page 66. Chief, did you have a chance to review the last budget workshop video so you know what's been talked about the fire department this time around?
I can't hear anything, Pete.
So the council president wants to know, did you watch the video from the last round from Tuesday's meeting? Were you able to see the video?
I did.
Okay, so we are at this point, page 66.
We're at page 66 of the budget. Do you happen to have that in front of you?
I have the budget up, but but it's not page 66 on what I'm looking at, but I have the budget.
Okay.
So the reason I'm asking about this page 66 is we did some discussion of the department budget at the last budget workshop. So what I'm asking is there anything in what we've already gone over that you'd like to, is there anything that we did at the last budget workshop that you wanted to go back over before we resume on page 66?
So I'm a little unclear as to what's been done since I presented a couple of months ago when we made our reductions, and I'm a little unclear as to what additional are there cuts being made. That's where I'm not real clear.
Well, that's what I was asking, because I'm just trying to get us a starting place so we can begin the discussion. So that's why I'm asking you. If you've seen the video of the last workshop, you know what we've done with the fire department budget so far. And if you do know that, then if there's anything from that workshop that you wanted to discuss now, we can do that. Otherwise, we are planning on moving forward. We were primarily discussing the overtime.
Right. So we had made a significant reduction in that. So I'm not, are you looking to reduce something more?
We have not voted to reduce it any further. We were discussing it, and my understanding is that Mr. Detiniak and Councilwoman Rudin had done some further discussion of that separately from the workshop. So what we're doing now is trying to get up to speed with what Mr. Detiniak and Councilwoman Rudin had discussed with regard to the fire budget. And I think they were talking about overtime.
Council President, we did not talk about overtime. I did
Okay.
not give any recommendation to cut overtime.
That's what I said. We were discussing it, but we did not take a vote. Is that not correct?
We discussed police overtime
Right.
last time, but I don't think we ever actually started with fire on Tuesday because I think Councilwoman Castellino said this is going to take a while, or someone said it. Maybe it was Madam Clerk. And so we never started with fire.
Okay.
But
It's-
Difficulty hearing Mr. Detiniak, so
Chief
I
Vecchio,
apologize for this, that I can't, my audio's not working, but if you could relay what he just said.
Mr. Detiniak said that we had not even begun our discussion about the fire department budget. He was clarifying my misstatement a little bit earlier to you. So we are starting fresh on the fire department budget. Is that correct, Mr.
Correct,
Detiniak?
yeah.
Okay.
and
And
sorry. go ahead.
we're starting on page 66.
We're starting fresh from the cuts that were made when I came in to present back in May, correct? I mean, what I'm seeing, for example, in yellow, those were conversations that we had during that presentation, and I guess this is memorializing them into the budget, correct?
No. That's what we thought we were doing in going over the budget a second time, that we were just going to confirm what we had discussed and decided in the first round of review where the directors were here. But this second round of process has turned into further discussions of further cuts. I think it's all reductions in the various budgets. So there was discussion at the
All of the workshops, so I'm familiar with the direction you're going. my concern is that I don't know that there's much, I don't know that there's any room for reductions in anything within our budget. Now that obviously that you might not agree with me, but for example, the overtime budget, that's why Mr. Smeraldo had asked me to send out some numbers, and I did that the other day, which showed that there's really, our overtime budget at this point is not something I can change. I think you're all aware of that. We have minimum staffing contractually that we need to satisfy, and with the numbers, even the way they're trending, as Mr. Detiniak pointed out, we're going to need what we budgeted for overtime this year. So I'm not real sure how I can guarantee that if it gets cut, Mr. Detiniak is going to have to come back and ask for those funds, because that's going to happen. So I'm not really sure where we're going.
Well, at this point, I think we should just move forward, starting on page 66, and
Okay.
and see where that discussion goes. It may be difficult, however, if you cannot hear what is being discussed.
Maybe you can take one of the other directors and jump and let me try to work out this technical issue. I don't know why maybe it's something to do with where I am, but I doubt it. It's probably the Chromebook that I'm on that I'm having some problems with. So if maybe you can just jump ahead, and then in 20 minutes or so, let me try to figure this out, and we'll, does that sound fair?
Is that the consensus of the other participants in our discussion right now? I'm just asking. I don't want to lose our chronological progression. So if we don't start on page 66, if there's something else we can go to.
I could, I'd have to get my phone back to contact. I believe the next one would be, engineering.
Well, Council President, is there an appetite to reduce the fire S&W? Because if there isn't, then we can move past it and go to operating expenses.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my colleagues and Ms. Bennett if that was an issue that you wanted to address at this point. The question is there anybody who wants to discuss the fire salary and wage section?
Yes.
Okay, so please, Councilman Rudin, and
This is just, I know, just the overtime, not the salary.
okay, that's totally different.
Okay,
The
no.
question is salary and wage. Councilwoman Scarpa, did you want to discuss fire salary and wage?
No, I just wanted to say that I trust Chief Vecchio's judgment. He's got the leanest budget and does the less spending, and he's got the bathrooms to show it. So I trust his judgment on this.
Is that a thank you?
That's a thank you.
Ms. Bennett, is there any wish by the board to discuss fire salary and wage?
We don't have anything
Okay,
imminent to discuss.
okay.
Council President, pardon the interruption. Could you inform Chief Vecchio, we just found out that Zoom will not work on a Chromebook, and that's the problem that he's having. So he'll need to get on a regular laptop if possible, or his phone. Maybe he can access Zoom from his phone.
Chief Vecchio, we are informed that Zoom does not work on Chromebooks. So you have an alternative. You can either get on a separate laptop, or you can dial in by your phone.
Do Zoom from my phone.
Yeah.
That'll probably work. So I'll get off the, if you can give me 5 minutes, let me just try to do it from my phone. Okay?
Sure.
Council President, just inform the chief that the dial-in number is on our website.
The dial-in number is on our website, Chief, just on the homepage.
Give me a couple minutes.
Yep.
Thanks.
Then you might as well grab pizza. It's hot, so might as well have it.
So let me know where it's at, because it's a bit here. I will. Thank you.
He's not answering, but can you please go give us an activity?
It's not doing that.
To members of the Zoom audience, please, once again, pardon the dead air. We are waiting on a couple of things. So if your computer screen is mute, there is no technical problem. Apologize for the dead air, and we appreciate your patience in advance.
Yeah, so we're not doing anything else. If anybody would like a slice of pizza, I think compliments of Mr. Smeraldo.
I almost showed up with pizza.
Is there meatball and pepperoni? No one getting it.
So hot, you lost your cheese. I'm gonna take a slice.
No, thank you.
The person I just brought into the meeting is AV. Is that the chief?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Vecchio, that's probably him.
Unmute
That's-
yourself.
That's
Chief?
me. That's
Okay,
me.
very good, chief. Thank you. I'm glad you worked out the problems. I'll alert Council President that you are in the meeting. Council President, Chief Vecchio is online and can hear us and will be able to speak.
Chief Vecchio, welcome.
Sorry about all that.
Well, it's good to know the Chromebooks don't facilitate Zoom. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we're making some progress.
Yeah.
So in the interim, I asked the participants if there was any desire to discuss salary and wage portion of the fire budget. I was told no. So we're going to move now, and I'm going to let Mr. Tiniak take the lead here into the O and E or OE portion of the budget, the operating expenses.
Council President, I'm going to ask if we're not going to have any more changes to S and W, if the deputy clerk can call for a consent vote? Is that okay with Council President?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
On all the pages that are salary.
So for fire salary and wages, there's no changes. So can deputy clerk call for consent?
Is there a motion?
We're not going to do
don't
motion
need a
if there's a
motion.
consent.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier. So you can just ask for consent, and if you hear three voices, and then you can say any nays, and then we can consider that to be the vote.
All right.
Please.
Is there consent?
Consent?
Yes.
Thank you for the pizza.
Councilwoman Rudin, are you consenting?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so we've locked down consent on salary and wage for the fire. What's next?
We just finished fire S and W. Council President, we're going to move to page 73, Fire Department, other expenses.
Okay.
So as stated before, Councilwoman Rudin did sit with me and we did go through the paid and charged for the various line items. So I'll let Councilwoman Rudin, I guess, well, give her the floor. I don't know.
Okay, so there was a discussion at the end of last workshop that we were going to try to drop in some of these.
Yeah, it's too manual.
Okay,
and I've
that's
been
fine. Just fine. So,
bogged down with a few really pressing matters, so.
okay, no, that's fine. So Councilwoman Rudin, we are
Yes.
now on page 73. If you want to bring up whatever items you want to bring up.
Sure. We reviewed what was actually used in each line item and went back in some categories to look at prior years. Line item 114 for firefighting foam. There was 2,000 allocated. It has not been used, nor was it used in the prior year. So I make a motion to cut that 2,000. Question, do I need to do this line item by line item, or can I go through all of them on this page at once and then we get a consent for all?
Well, we're going to have to, I think we're going to have to go through line by line in order to get a vote if there's any disagreement. If it's consent, we can move forward, but if there's,
I would agree with you, Council President. I would go line by line, especially since we have Chief Vecchio on, and if the intent is for Chief Vecchio to be able to opine on the sub-accounts, I would just go line by line rather than having to go back and forth, and so.
and I'll get to you in just a second, Councilwoman Scarpa.
Okay, great.
It seems to me, of course, you're making the point about the sublines, and I guess there's an alternative. The alternative would be to say cut from, or potentially cut from the total budget.
Correct, yes,
And,
yes.
and that would be the same sort of discussion, not in the detail. It also reflects that we allow the directors to move around money within their budgets, within the sublines, as long as they don't go over the total budget.
That's an excellent point, Council President. You're right. If you just want to give one total figure to cut from the OE budget, we can do that as well.
And then, of course, if we don't get agreement on that, then we can go back through line by line. If so, it sound like a plan forward?
I'd like to hear from Chief Vecchio about the necessity for these things before we start cutting.
Yes,
Um,
we will definitely do that, but we have not told Chief Vecchio what the potential or what the prospective cuts are in order for him to respond. So what I
Right,
was
okay, I
suggesting
just
is
want to
we-
make sure we can hear from him before we have to vote.
Councilwoman Rudin, do you have
Yes, I can
do you have a
continue.
total amount that you think
Yes.
should be done?
The total amount is 6,000 from this page. It was based on categories where zero spending had been issued up to date. I do recognize that some budgets in here have been overspent and some have been underspent. So we went back and looked at this and really tried to leave a little bit of wiggle room for the fire department to move around budgets. So what we're suggesting cutting out does not leave the fire department to the bone. There is still plenty of excess in other categories that we maintained, but we are zeroing out some categories where no spending has taken place.
So let me just try to put this in perspective. The first time we went through the fire to budget, and I can't remember whether we went line by line or whether Mr. Tiniak made an agreement where we decided to, and I'm just looking at page 74, which is the true up of the OE portion of the budget, that we were going to cut $16,881.86, leaving a requested budget of $95,669.27. That was a 13.3% cut. So that's where it stands as of this second go through. And if I understand you correctly, Councilwoman Rudin, that you would suggest or perhaps make a motion to cut an additional $6,000 out of that recommended budget. So instead of it being $95,669, it would be closer to $89,669. Is that correct?
Actually, I'm only doing this page by page. So this only refers to a $6,000 cut request based on page 73. There are other cuts requested on other pages.
Okay, so what Councilwoman Rudin is saying is that we cannot go to a bottom line for the OE. So let's go back up to page 73 and she can walk through the individual items on page 73, and then we'll see if we can take a vote on or take a consent on that, or if we need to go back through line by line and consider a motion.
Alternatively, I can give you a total for just the cuts in the fire department, if that's what you're requesting. And that would take us through to the end of page 76. I just need to add up the pages and then I can give that number.
If you could, if we could just do to page 74, because they're distinct line items. So if you want to just give me or give everyone here the cut for up to page 74, we'll start there.
Okay. Council President?
Yes, please give us the number for 74 so we can move ahead, please. 73 and 74 combined.
And there's okay, let me just finish this part. On going back to page 73, 120, nozzles and fittings, there was 0 spent, 2,000 requests, so I'm requesting a 2,000 cut there. In prior years, there was 0 spent in this budget. On line air conditioner, 117, sorry, I skipped that. There was 1,000 authorized, nothing has been spent. There was spending last year. It was under this amount. I'm requesting 1,000 cut for that category. For maintenance traffic control, there was 0 spent this year, last year. And so I'm asking to zero that out. That brings us to a total of 6,000 on that one page.
It's 4,000.
And so 2,000 for the nozzles, for 1,000 for traffic. I'm sorry, what are the others?
Okay. Category 114, firefighting foam. 117 for air conditioning is 1,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Let me know when you'd like me to jump in, please.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Chief Vecchio before we vote.
Councilwoman Scarpa, please raise
Oh,
your
sorry.
digital hand and be recognized before you comment, please. Before I answer you, Chief Vecchio, Ms. Bennett had raised her hand and she now has the floor.
Just for expediency, Council President, I would just suggest that we identify, moving forward, that we identify the line number and then the full amount. And if necessary, we go back and discuss. There may not be a need or reason to discuss, but I think that might move things along. Just a suggestion. That was all.
Thank you. Chief Vecchio, it sounds like now you have the floor to address some of the suggestions by Councilwoman Rudin.
Thank you, Council President. The issue I have is that and I'm going to use the term arbitrary. You're looking to cut areas that quite frankly no one understands. I don't understand how you can ask to cut a line item when, do you know what firefighting foam is? Are you aware of the currently what's going on with PFAS and firefighting foam? And without speaking to someone that has knowledge in that area, I don't understand how you can say, well, we're going to cut that line. This is what we do within the fire department. So with regard to air conditionings, you said that cut the air conditioning. Well, we're having trouble with our air conditioning units. It's unfortunately we're having to buy window units for our firehouses because there's an issue going on. I could get into it, but it's that's for another day. We're going to have to buy units. We don't necessarily just because something wasn't spent last year. You mentioned nozzles. We don't buy nozzles but when we do, we probably spend 5,000 on nozzles. So to just say because it wasn't spent last year doesn't necessarily mean that we don't need it. That's the issue. I don't know if you're looking to me to say, well, I'm comfortable with these cuts. I'm not. I think when I met with, and I had some time to sit with Mr. Detiniak, we went to certain lines and we did make cuts. To go beyond that, I know the council is big on looking at other communities and what their budgets are. I implore you, look to other communities that are similar in size and go to their fire departments. And I can almost assure you that our operating budget is lower than everybody else's before you made these cuts. So again, my presence here today, I don't know if you're looking for me to say, oh, absolutely, take those line items out. I'm not. So I don't know how much more I can explain, but it just seems like the cuts are being made without looking at what we do day to day.
Well, Chief Vecchio, that's why we have you here. We're looking at the budget line items and we're trying to figure out whether these numbers that Councilwoman Rudin has put forward is money that you plan to spend this year. That's why we're very grateful that you came back while on vacation to give the council a better understanding of the importance, the relative importance of these line items. So it's one thing to say that these are all important issues and the numbers represent functions that you know at some point will be addressed. The issue I think for us today is whether you intend at this point to spend that money in the budget this year, because if you're not planning on spending the money, then we'll pull it. I would think that there would be some agreement to pull it out so that we can reduce the amount of the tax levy that we need to pursue with property owners through the property tax. But it's one thing to say that they're important, and I don't have the knowledge to say that they're not, and that's why we're glad you're here. But the issue really is whether you expect here at the beginning of August to have a likelihood that you're going to spend any of this money that Councilwoman Rudin has questioned. Can you say?
I can't tell you, Council President, that we're gonna spend $2,000 between now and the end of the year for nozzles. I don't have a purchase order. We haven't encumbered any funds. But what I'm saying is if you historically look at the fire department, I use this expression, we're not leaving thousands of dollars on the table. We spend what we traditionally, last year was a very unusual year, and Mr. Detiniak can probably explain it better than I can, because I'm saying we ran out of money. The way that the budget was done last year, for example, I think I explained this to you when I met back in May. We hired 10 new people last year, and I had asked for additional funding for training because we knew where we were going to be. That was more than we traditionally hire. And then we spent more than we needed to go back to the well, if you will, because it wasn't funded. So again, I don't think we're excessive in any measure with our operating budget. The fact that we were able to even come back and cut 15% as you had asked us to do, which we did. Now we're going back another time. Ultimately, I'm well aware that you folks, control the purse strings. If you vote, the three of you vote right now to defund the fire department budget, that's your prerogative. You can do that. But I'm telling you, historically, we're going to have to come back by the end of the year for more money. I don't, we haven't gotten to overtime yet, but it's the same thing applies there. We see where the trend goes. It's going to be less than last year, which is great, but we took 600,000 out of that budget. And I'm understanding that maybe you want more than that. Well, that's why I sent out the email the other day to show where we anticipate being. And it's more than what's currently in this budget. So if you're looking to lower that number, I'm not really sure what were the line of thinking there.
Ms. Bennett.
Council President, just to refocus things, because it's not lost on me that what the chief is saying, and I think he's discussing salary and wages, overtime. In this section of the budget, last year, the final budget was $110,000. They used 72% of that, leaving just under 30% unused. I'm going
Can
to
I
put-
interrupt? Can I interrupt? Because that's incorrect.
Mr. Chief Vecchio, you cannot interrupt. I will get to you. I will let you respond as soon as Ms. Bennett finishes, okay?
And I just want to bring up one line item. 082, so training. What was budgeted was $34,000. What was used was $25,000. The budget request for this year is $40,000. At this point, halfway through the year, we should be able to know what the spend has been for that line item and be able to determine what the spend could be. And there may be the ability to cost save. As was pointed out at the beginning of this exercise, there may be a way to identify a dollar amount and let Chief Vecchio determine if it's not foam where it should be removed from, maybe it could be removed from education. But at the end of the day, it is the taxpayer who is shouldering every penny that we add into this budget. And I think that's the reason for the exercise. It's not to be more difficult. It's not to challenge Chief Vecchio. It's really just to look out for the taxpayer and make sure that we're only budgeting for what is necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Vecchio, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. And Ms. Bennett, I agree with you 100% with regard to trying to keep it where it should be. The taxpayer shouldn't be burdened beyond what's necessary. I agree with you. The numbers that are in this budget, and this I can't speak to because I'm not the CFO, and hopefully Mr. Detiniak can. Last year, we worked off of a temporary budget for almost the entire year. And we were unable to put purchase orders through because the money wasn't and again, Mr. Detiniak can explain this better than I can. So the numbers that you see, I can guarantee you the $25,000 that it says paid or charged for training last year is an incorrect number. Now, obviously, it's the only thing you can look at. We spent more money on training last year than that number. So I can't tell you why that's what it says right here. Hopefully, Mr. Detiniak can. We asked for, because again, I don't know if this is the right way of saying it. We ran out of money last year and he was able to fund our accounts. So is it possible that training was under a different account? Yes, it's possible, but I don't know that. But what I'm saying is multiple times throughout the year last year, there was no money to purchase the things we needed to purchase because of the temporary budget. So hopefully Mr. Detiniak can speak to that.
Mr. Detiniak, I think that's your cue.
So again, the paid or charged is as of December 31st, 2024. If there were charges in January, February, or March that still impacted the 2024 budget, they don't show up here. So, if I factor in those charges that happened in 2025, but against 2024, the total paid or charged for the line item is more like $98,760. So as Chief Vecchio said, we operated on a temporary budget for such a long time that they really couldn't do a lot of the purchasing that they needed to do until we actually adopted, which was in October. So we incurred some liabilities that then got recorded in the beginning of 2025 against 2024. I'm still showing though that the training budget was 25. Here, 25, 225. I have 25, 475 because there was a refund. So that's what I am showing as a 1231. So it's a good number, but you know, that's that one
Is it-
particular line item.
Chief Vecchio?
Is it possible that that was also, that there were things that were not encumbered until 2025?
Yeah,
for
that's what I'm
I mean,
saying. Yeah.
in my brain right now, I'm thinking about the 10 recruits. I mean, at a very minimum, each recruit is $5,000 at a minimum. So that's why I'm saying, I just based on their firefighter 1, firefighter 2, and EMS training, I know what we pay for that. So that's why I'm questioning that number. So
Sure.
and we have to agree, sometimes different accounts are used for different things, because certain accounts don't have money in them. That happens. So that's why I'm questioning that.
Mr. Detiniak, for 2024, 25,000 was spent. Given that Chief just said that it's about 5,000 per person and you've currently spent about 25,000 this year, doesn't that make sense that each of the new recruits got the training?
I mean, I'm not going to answer for the chief. He would know which recruits got his training. I mean, if you're talking purely math, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But I can't answer for the chief when it comes to his training. So,
But that would cover
I'm rounding those numbers when I say 5,000 per recruit. So, and we put on 10. I mean, I'm no mathematician, but that sounds like $50,000 to me. So I'm rounding it. It's not exact. That's why I'm saying when I see that number, it seems like there must have been money taken from a different account. Because our vendors, our EMS and our academies are paid. So
What is the year-to-date spending for that line item for 8082?
so 082 right now, our paid or charged is $12,289. That's as of today.
Chief Vecchio, do you anticipate having additional training expenditures in the rest of 2025, or have you made recent ones in the last, say, month or so that may not have showed up in Mr. Detiniak's account?
yes, that there may be, and also yes, that we do our live burns in the fall, so that wouldn't be reflected in this yet. We do them in October. I think I mentioned in May, thankfully, we applied for and received a FEMA grant for training, which has helped thus far. It was a $75,000 grant. It's different. There are certain mandatory training programs that we have to do. These are more elective. The ones that we got through the grant, they're great. And they're going to continue for 18 months. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a cushion. But again, I don't have exact numbers for what we're going to spend between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
Question.
So, yeah, just a second, please. I just want to note to anybody who's not following along visually that this line item 082 training education has already been cut by $4,800. The recommended budget at this point, if these numbers are correct, is a little over $35,000. And correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman Rudin, you were not addressing the training, this 082 line, were you? Or
I was not, but now that we are, I have a question because we do have what has been spent, Chief Vecchio, is just a little over 12,000. We've allocated 35,000 for this. Do you see any room for cutting 10,000 out of this? We would still be leaving you with an additional 13,000 cushion for education. Plus, you mentioned the FEMA grant, which is terrific. Would that be acceptable to you?
My answer is going to be no, because of every line item here, training is the most important. If you feel that it's something you need to do, then you feel it's something you need to do. We'll have to limit. If we need to spend something, we can't spend it if it's not there. So, opportunities sometimes arise that are not necessarily scheduled training opportunities. People put in to take classes. There's executive leadership programs being offered right now that we wanted to put people into. That falls under that. So if you're going to say no and you want to cut this further, then I say no to the people who put in requests for that training. We do have someone in the academy right now that is not, his EMS and fire academy, that's not been paid yet. But I mentioned our live burns that we do in October at the academy. That's for all of our personnel. So again, my answer would be no, but I feel like it almost, what I'm saying is falling on deaf ears. So
just to provide some more clarity, the training, we did have $33,000 charged against 2024, but in 2025, again, due to that delay in adopting the budget and entering the budget. So there is an additional 33,000 in training. So you're getting to close to 60,000 in total charged to the year. Sorry, Ms. Bennett.
Well, that seems to put things in a little bit more context of what everybody was saying. Ms. Bennett.
So, Council President, I was intentional in choosing that line item because it was one of the line items that Council Person Rudin did not mention. The thought being that the exercise of identifying additional savings, and then the leader of that department determining where to reduce his or her budget, I think is a much wiser exercise, since they know how to best spend, if the appetite is such that we are going to further reduce. And that was the reason I raised that line item, is because it shows, but there are others in this section of the budget that also show not spending at the rate of last year, but proposing a higher rate. And I think it's a smart exercise to look at those line items, either as the department chair or as this body, and determine whether or not additional savings can be made. Modest additional savings will go a long way if we do that with each of the departments. Thank you.
And that is true, but the question is, is the chief expecting to use all or most of the money that is now in the July 22nd version of the 2025 budget? We've already cut it 13%. It's now at 95,669 total. And the issue seems to be, I know Councilwoman Rudin focuses on line items. I'm more of a flexibility type of guy where we figure out what the total number is and let the director spend the way he thinks it can spend, but that requires us to get an idea that he's going to be spending all or most of this money, because the number here says we spent 72% of the budget last year. That's clearly not the correct number we should be working from. So the idea is, how are we going to approach this? Are we going to try to cut line by line, or do we want to just say, okay, you've cut 13%. Can you cut an additional, I think the number from Councilwoman Rudin was $6,000 total. And I guess that's part of what we can talk about. Now, Chief, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you are going to oppose any cut in addition to the 13.3% cut that you already agreed with Is my perception of what you've said so far correct?
It is.
Okay.
Again, and this is unfortunate for everyone who's looking at these numbers. The numbers are not correct, and that's nothing I can do about that. Again, last year, because, and I assume that this year probably may be the same, we work off a temporary budget, and that's why things rolled over to the next year. And again, I'm not an accountant. I'm not sure why that's still not reflected in 24, but whatever the case, if you looked historically at the fire department, since I've been the chief, we've always spent our budget, and whether that's good or not, or whatever, but we have. So to say that we don't spend what, that you may see as zero there, I don't believe that zero is correct, is what I'm saying. So for me to concede and say, sure, let's not, let's go the nozzles, for example, because you didn't spend it, let's take that $2,000 out. I'm not quite sure. That's very possible, because we may not have ordered nozzles last year, but we might order $5,000 worth of nozzles this year. And we've always left a number in the budget to kind of account for that. And that also is why sometimes you take from a different line, because this year we need another $1,000. So we take it from a different line to pay for the line that's not fully funded for that. The other thing, and I agree, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity, Mr. Detiniak and I will have an opportunity this year to redo these lines. Since I came in, I wanted some of them. Yeah, there are some lines that are not appropriate, and from my understanding, when we go to the new software, we'll have an opportunity to do that. So, and hopefully next year it'll be a little clearer for everybody. But yeah, I mean, when we looked at each line item, and Mr. Detiniak and I met and in the conference room before we came to the council, and we looked at areas where we thought we could move, and we cut what was asked, which was 15%. So yeah, it's hard for me to sit here and say, cut this number or cut training, or I really can't. I can't do that in good conscience.
So my perception of what you're saying is that you expect to spend at or very close to the number that you now have in OE, which is 95,000 and change. Is that?
Absolutely, Council President. And to your point before, we've always looked at that bottom line number, because whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, sometimes we do take money from one line because we need it in another line. So as long as we don't exceed the bottom line number, we've done our job. So I would ask that that's what is looked at, because quite frankly, as I said, and I'm using foam as an example, I would believe that no one on the council understands what's going on with foam, and how we had to get rid of the cancer-causing PFAS foam, and how that's not easy to do, and how we have to purchase new foam, which we haven't done yet, because we're still waiting to hear back from the government, the state, and the federal government as to the direction we're supposed to go. So that's why I don't want that line to go away, if that makes sense. So that's why the bottom line, as you say, if you look at the bottom line number, that's my belief, that's what we should be looking at.
Okay, so thank you, Chief. Councilwoman Rudin.
Yes, Council President, you had mentioned that 13 point some percentage of the fire department budget has already been cut. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what the numbers here say. So
Okay,
to the
and we
extent that
had,
they're correct.
we had requested that each department reduce by minimum of 15%. What would that number be if Chief Vecchio could get a reduction so that it would be at 15%? Mr. Detiniak?
It's going to be about $3,000, I would estimate. But of course, to a certain extent, based on our previous discussions, these numbers are not really reflective of, what actually happened last year.
And that's why I was trying to make it accurately reflect while leaving some wiggle room in some of the categories which were either overspent or not spent at all, so that there would still be some
So
wiggle room.
we cut 15% from the budget request. We did. From the original request of 112,551, we did cut 15%.
Okay, I'm just looking at the numbers here. It looks like it says 13.3%.
That's based off of the 2024 final is it's 13.3%.
Okay, but
From his initial ask, from the chief's
From
initial
25.
ask, yeah,
okay,
it's a 15% cut.
we
So,
have,
I don't know if you want 15% from the prior budget or 15% from his original request. Because it's from the original request.
right.
And what percentage increase was it from the original request to last year?
2%. It was a 2% ask from the prior year.
Right, it went from $110,000 and change to 112,000 and change. So that was the 2% increase. And maybe we can work on the formatting for next year to. So Councilwoman Rudin.
Shall I go through the rest of the cuts?
Well, perhaps we could address the other issue, which is that according to Mr. Tiniak and Chief Vecchio, they did cut 15% out of the proposed 2025 budget request. And it just doesn't show this here because it's the part of the equation was taking from 2024, which we know is
Right.
not
Well, I
close.
mean, we showed it up, on screen, we highlighted and we put decreases in there. So that shows the decreases that Chief Vecchio put in. And, I will speak for Chief Vecchio. He could tell me to shut up, but I think this goes for all the department heads. We were asked to make reductions. Chief Vecchio made reductions, and then, now it's like, okay, make more, but this is what we thought we needed to run the operations. So it's almost like you're trying to get him to say, oh, you'll be okay with even more reductions. I think this is the bare minimum that all of our department heads would say. And there's probably many department heads would say, John, no, it's cut too much. So I'll just keep that in mind. Like, I think they've done their job when it comes to reductions. So, to get them to try to sign off on this, I don't know if it's that fair. I mean, this is really the council cuts at this point. I don't know.
The total budget request was 95,669. Is that correct?
That's what was introduced.
Okay,
We
and
introduced
now-
95,669.
And now the total, would the new budget amount then be 93,793?
No,
With
we
15%?
no, we requested $112,551. That was our request. And then we cut it $16,881, which is about 15%. That's how we got to the 95.
Okay. Thank you.
So Ms. Rudin, I can't believe I just said that. Councilwoman Rudin, from at this point, it appears that two of the things that are certain is that one, that Chief Vecchio, Mr. Tiniak worked together and reduced the budget ask this year by 15%. And also Chief Vecchio says that he does not feel comfortable cutting any further. So the question I think at this point is, do you want to move to a motion or a request for consent, or do you want to just move on?
I'd like to poll my other colleagues.
Sorry.
I worked with Mr. Detiniak to try and to bring down the costs in certain areas that have not been spent. If there's no appetite to reduce, then let's move on.
Yeah, and we're matching that with Chief Vecchio's position, which is that he doesn't think that it's wise to cut further. And given that this is a key element of public safety, I tend to want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But Councilwoman Scarpa, Councilwoman Rudin,
Yeah.
asking for your opinion.
Yeah, I really trust the judgment of Chief Vecchio. He is very frugal and very prudent. And if he really feels it would impact his operation significantly, I would move to just go forward and trust his judgment.
Okay, well, that seems like we have a consensus not to make any further changes in the revised fire budget. So what's next, Mr. Detiniak? Is there anything else in fire?
For this particular line item, no. So did we do consent? I don't.
So is this for O&E? Is this
Yes.
73 and 74?
Fire operating expenses.
Okay, is there consent?
Consent?
Consent.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Consent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is uniform fire safety, page 75. The budget request was $31,084.63. There were no reductions made. And it was introduced at $31,084.63.
Councilwoman Rudin, did you
Okay.
have anything on this page?
Yeah. On line item 70, miscellaneous, 0 has been spent. So that's a reduction of 2651.26. On line item 113, computer maintenance. 0 has been spent. That's a reduction of 781.22. And on line item 160, fire prevention program, 18,000 has been spent. We can reduce that another $6,437. That would bring us to a total of $9,870.35.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, can you just say the first number, the one against miscellaneous? Was it the whole amount?
Yeah.
26?
We looked at every single line item, and some of these categories either had zeros or were underspent. Is Chief Vecchio still on?
Yeah, I
line?
just want to make sure everybody's on the same page here in terms of
In the
what you were
future,
asking.
we're hoping that there will be no more miscellaneous line items.
Can you say the last number as well? Fire prevention, what was the reduction?
$6,437.87.
Are you good now with the numbers, Mr. Detiniak?
Yes, Council President.
Chief Vecchio?
Yes, I was just waiting to be recognized.
Yes, please. Thank you. You can also raise your digital hand, and that way, Mr. Fagan will flag me and we'll actually recognize you as quickly as we can.
I figure you'd get around to me.
Yes, you are part of the formula.
So here are my comments about that. First of all, I know it's very easy to look at a number and see that it's a meaty number where you can pull money out of. But for example, our fire prevention, and I wish our fire official was on as well. I'm sure he'd concur. But our October is fire prevention month. That's where we're not there yet. So to say, well, you haven't spent or you spent this much, I hesitate to look at this year as opposed to looking at last year, because last year will give you a better picture. Still, with our numbers, even those numbers are a little skewed. But it to say that we haven't spent it this year, you're again arbitrarily saying we're not going to spend it, but we spend it in October. So to just say let's take that away, I don't see the rationale there. I agree with you, Councilwoman Rudin, about miscellaneous. We hate them in our report writing. There's categories for miscellaneous, and we hate it because it gives people out. I get it, and hopefully when we switch to the new software, we can work on that. However, usually that becomes a line where, when I said to you before, if there's only $2,000 in one line and we need three, it comes from miscellaneous. Back to the bottom line thing. As long as we're not over expending and we stay within our budget that was granted, I've always thought that was fine. But again, if you're asking for my blessing, if you will, I can't give it. There's still money to be spent, and to wipe out what sounds like almost a third of this budget doesn't make any sense to me, because unless I'm looking at things wrong, we were pretty close to spending our budget last year, unless I'm looking at something wrong.
Indeed, Chief, the budget document we're looking at says that you were able to spend 93% of last year's budget.
Right. So what I'm asking you to look at is not what's been spent thus far this year, but what was spent last year. Does that make sense?
Yes, certainly. And of course, we're also relying on you to have, the experience and the knowledge to give us a clearer picture of what might be happening this year, particularly in the rest of the year to come. That's really what we're
understood. And I can't always, I don't always have that crystal ball, but with regard to fire prevention, our month is October. And again, we're not there yet. So the expenses that will come from giveaways that are ordered for our events, for the schools, we do school visits, for everything leading up to that. We haven't spent that. And I don't have in front of me what's been encumbered, but most likely we haven't. That's not usually when that happens. So that is something I can anticipate, though. So again, I think Councilwoman Rudin said $6,000 out of fire prevention programs. Again, I disagree with that.
Our goal here is just to reduce spending where spending is not taken place, and just to tighten the budget for the sake of the residents. It looks like $18,000 has either been spent or encumbered. Mr. Detiniak, what is that amount? Is it encumbered or spent?
That's spent. Mhm.
Are you talking about for 2025?
Yes.
Okay, but again, like I just said, we really shouldn't be looking at. We should be looking at what we spent in 2024. Fire prevention is I don't know what the right word would be. It's a lot of what we do is very rote. It's just it's going to happen again next year. So if we look at last year's numbers, and I think we were a couple of $1,000s off. So if you were looking for us to take a hit somewhere, it should be, to your point, and I'm trying to be frugal. I recognize what you're saying. If we didn't spend it last year, why do we need to request it this year? I understand that. But then that number would be more like $2,000 than $6,000. So I don't know where we're looking at 2025, but you can't. You kind of have to look at the years past. Because we're 2/3 of the way through the year. And what happens, like Mr. Datiniak had said before, is when you work on temporary budgets, we try to put in purchase orders and we're locked out because there's not funding for it. So we end up having to wait, and things that we had planned on ordering in June get ordered in October. So we're not accounting for that. So that's why I say if you look at the picture of 2024, when we're doing the 2025 budget, rather than what we've spent in 2025 thus far, I think that's a better way to calculate, personally.
Councilwoman?
I would like to suggest, I've made a suggestion for this entire budget to cut back, I guess, 6,000, 9,000, 15, 16, 17, 17,000. And there was still a little bit of spending that was not spent last year. Can we agree on reducing this budget by $4,000 and you work with whatever else? I mean, you've done a terrific job addressing this. I still would like to discuss the OT. But you've done a great job. And I'd like to ask if you would reduce it by 4,000 overall, and then you make the choices.
You're talking about for uniform fire safety.
I'm talking about
Correct.
for yes.
So the only, and again, unless I'm reading something wrong, the difference between the 2024 budget and the 2025 budget, which is, and I understand what you're saying, if we didn't spend it last year, why do we need it this year, is $2,200. Am I reading that right?
That's
Yes, almost 2,300, yes.
Okay, so would I be willing to deduct 2,300 and we put it somewhere? We could, if you put it in the fire prevention program, we'll take it from there. Yes, I'd be willing to take the 2,300. That's what's showing in front of us right now. But to arbitrarily say, let's take 9,000 when that would put us in deficit next year based on the things that we order every year for our fire prevention programs. I don't, that doesn't make sense to me, but because I'm looking at it, okay, we left $2,300 on the table last year. To make sure we don't do that again, I'd be willing to give up $2,300.
Councilwoman Rudin?
Okay. Let's move on.
I'm sorry?
Then let's move on. You know, I don't want to argue over every single item. I'm trying to tighten the belt a little so that this is actually reflective of what the department is spending. I know that the chief does a wonderful job, and these budgets, I don't know why they're not reflective of what is actually being spent, but when I'm going over the items line by line, there are zeros and there's under. So something is not being spent, and yes, there will be spending, you know, throughout the rest of the year, but is it enough to justify the amount of money that we are leaving on the table? We're asking everybody to make hard choices, and you know, I'm pushing for some hard choices, but it's really for the benefit of the bottom line for the tax rate for the individual residents.
So just before I move on to Councilwoman Scarpa, because we know you have your hand raised. Thank you. Just
Okay,
be
thank you.
patient. So does that mean that if the fire chief is amenable to a $2,300 cut in this budget for uniform fire safety. You're good with that?
I have no choice. Because the two of you have already said that you don't want to make any other choice, any other cuts.
The chief has just offered to cut this.
To that.
Okay,
of
great,
course.
great. So Councilwoman Scarpa, thank you for your patience.
Councilwoman
Yeah,
Scarpa, Councilwoman Scarpa, pardon the interruption. Before you begin, if I may, unless you have any objection, could you turn off your video? It might improve the viewing option
Sure.
for our Zoom audience. I'll still be able to see your hand raised. So if you just turn your video off, I think that will. Thank you.
okay, I just turned it off. Does that
Okay.
help?
Well, I have no way of telling, but the
Oh,
Zoom
okay.
audience will be, but you can leave your, there's no reason unless you want to be on camera. So this may,
No, I don't necessarily need to.
okay. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that I've heard it correctly. I heard that Councilwoman Rudin asked for $4,000 to be cut from this, not 9,000. Was it 4,000 that you were asking for,
Yes.
Councilwoman? I would agree
Yes.
to that. I would agree to a $4,000 cut here.
Is that a thank you?
Thank you.
Okay, so we can do one of two things. We can accept the Chief Vecchio's offer to reduce this budget by $2,300, or we can go to a motion to vote on a cut of $4,000. Right? Do I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so if one of you wants to make a motion and it has a second, we can vote on the motion to reduce it by $4,000. And or alternately, we can just accept $2,300. So whatever your would like to do.
Okay, I'd like to split the baby and say I'd like to make a motion to reduce it by 3,000.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go to the vote, please.
All right, this is to reduce by 3,000. Councilwoman Rudin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Council President Krokoviac.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Now we need to consent to this page. As amended by our vote just now.
Consent?
Consent?
Okay.
What's next, Mr. Titiniak?
Next is page 76. This is OEM, and the budget is the same as it was last year, $1,729.89.
Is the number, as far as you know, of last year's spending correct, that nothing was spent?
That's correct.
Councilwoman Rudin?
The spending for this year in that category also was nothing.
It's zero for this year.
It's
correct.
zero in each of the categories. So I'm make a motion to reduce this entire amount, 1,729.89.
Council President, I would recommend if you do want to defund this line that you leave at least a penny, because if you make it zero, we cannot transfer any money at the end of the year if need be. If there was something came up, we wouldn't be able to transfer in. So you have to at least leave a penny if you, so that it can go in the
each
legal.
category?
No. Overall, you'd have to leave a penny so that it would be in the legal budget line item and it can be transferred into if need be. So that's my recommendation. If you truly were to reduce the whole thing, just leave it a penny.
So typically, the way I think it's a good way to
Or a
operate.
dollar.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Titiniak.
$1, sorry.
Again, we have a motion on the floor. I guess maybe we should just follow through with that, and I'll just reserve my comments to later. So is there a second on this motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. So I would like to hear from Chief Vecchio on this motion before we go further. Please.
Thank you. So I'm not the OEM coordinator, but I can speak to this. I'm sure that Mr. Smeraldo can also speak to this. And I think that that CERT is probably the reason why this line item is even funded. And again, I don't know what if they've requested anything, if they obviously they didn't spend anything. That's usually when you get new members and they order shirts or vests or those kinds of things. So I mean, it's a program that was built up by not leaving any money in this account. I think you're pretty much closing out the program, because if they hire new members, they're going to have to give them shirts and vests and things that they order. And again, back to what I said, just because it wasn't spent last year doesn't mean it's not going to be needed this year. But if Mr. Detiniak believes that if you leave $1 in there, you can still fund it somehow, then maybe that's the way to go. But that's my, just knowing what I know about OEM, I think most of this money was for CERT. So unless Mr. Smeraldo has another opinion.
I'm sorry, Councilor, I walked in halfway through, I was dealing with another matter, but as far as the OEM concern is that in the past, a lot of this was for the volunteers that were within the program. It's a strictly all volunteer program, staffed by volunteers. I don't know what the current level is, because I know we had a reduction in some of the volunteers. We used to receive some grants for the program, which were nominal in nature, but helped sustain it when we were buying those uniforms and equipment at the time. It became the amount of work that was put into the grants themselves it was probably more in labor than it was for the actual money that was being provided. So I don't know what the ask is here, because I don't know what it was. I just stepped into it. I'm sorry, but I don't know if nothing's been expended this year without talking to the current OEM coordinator. I don't know what they have on tap right now, but I mean, I think this is something that if an emergency came, we could probably, help fund this at some point if you're looking to make some cuts here. I just don't know. Without him being here, I can't give you a clear answer on that. So, but how much was spent out of this?
We haven't spent anything this year.
Or last
We
year.
haven't spent last.
Or last year either? So
No.
I would, without even conceding to we're consulting with the coordinator. I mean, if you want to cut out, say 1,500 and leave them 200, just in case there's something. I'm sure if we needed to, we could find some. So if that's your desire.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor to take out everything. I think we need to revise that, given Mr. Ziniak's
Yeah, if you could just
caution that we need to leave something in there.
leave at least $1. I said a
And then
penny,
we
but leave
have
$1.
Geraldo saying, I think he said, take out 1,500 and leave essentially $230 in the account. So we have a motion that probably could be revised, but it's your motion, so.
I'll make a revised motion to reduce this budget to 1728.89.
Okay, leave the dollar in. Okay, so I'm not really sure how to revise a motion. I wonder if we should just rescind the motion and make a new one. I think that's probably.
I will
So-
rescind the earlier motion.
Okay.
Hold on just a second. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll rescind my second.
Super. So let's start all over again, please.
I make a motion to reduce the OEM budget by 1728.89.
I'll second.
All right.
And you second that, Councilman?
Yes, I second
Okay.
it. Mhm.
Okay. Is there any discussion,
All right.
madam?
Councilwoman Rudin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes,
Council President Krokoviac.
Yes.
All right, the motion.
So let me, before we move on, I just wanted to say, I think the process works well if we have a certain amount of discussion before we make a motion. Once we make a motion and the motion is pending, it sort of restricts where we're going. So I would prefer to just sort of throw out whatever the issue is, let everybody chime in, and then decide to go to a motion. It might save us some time just going forward, if that's amenable
Sounds good.
to my colleagues. What's next, Mr. Ziniak? Please.
Engineering, salary and wages.
So does that mean Chief Vecchio can get back to the beach? Unless, of course, Chief, you want to continue on as a spectator.
I probably will.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it's not a beach day, so, you know, I kind of like being with you all.
Okay, well, please just hit the mute button unless we ask you to
Sure.
come back in. Thank you
Sure,
very
but
much for your time and for
I do
your
have one.
service.
I do have one thing though. Were we not going to discuss the overtime budget?
No, Chief Vecchio, it was consented to.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I missed that. Okay.
So
But,
Chief Vecchio, thank you for coming, and I believe we didn't cut the oxygen level because you say you want to stay on the rest of the meeting. We didn't cut the oxygen line item.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said, we didn't cut the oxygen line item, did we? You said you want to stay on?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Council President,
right.
just
Thank
I'm
you.
going to return you to the attendee list.
Just- just-
If you need to come back in for any reason, I'll do so.
Thank you,
leave-
sir.
Don't leave yet.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait, did
Yes.
he not?
Just had a,
Second, I want to just make sure I know what just happened. I thought we were going to talk about the fire overtime budget at some point, but are you saying that
Oh, I
that's-
thought we consented. Oh, okay. I
this is
thought-
from the first, go round
I-
through the budget? Is that what you're saying?
No, am I like misremembering things? Didn't we say that there was no appetite to reduce the overtime and we would move on? Did we not say that? Yeah.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying is that as part of the salary and wage section that we consented to
Yeah.
was the overtime.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I mean, if you think otherwise, then go back to it.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask the chief a question since he's here and he was able to reduce the overtime budget so significantly. If he has any thoughts front of mind on how he accomplished that, just if he could briefly share.
Chief Vecchio, are you still here?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I am.
I
Ms.
want
Bennett,
to give you the floor to understand this because I missed it too. So, Ms. Bennett, what exactly do you want him to address, please?
So since Chief Vecchio cracked the code on overtime and was able to reduce overtime so significantly, I'm just wondering what he attributes that to.
Okay, just
recognized?
before, Chief Vecchio, just before, I want to make sure we're comparing apples to oranges. So last year, there was a ton more overtime in fire than is being proposed this year. Right? And I think that's what we're talking about. So maybe you could
So-
address that issue.
Sure.
I'm thinking it's from the hires, but please, you know this better than I do.
Yeah, that would be my my feeling as well, is that we did put on 10 new firefighters last year, and obviously when we fill those spots, we work, for those that don't know, we work contractually under a 17-person minimum, which means that in operations there needs to be 17 people working on any given day to staff the number of apparatus we have. So what happens is when people are on vacation, when people take personal time, when people take sick time, when people are out injured, and we drop down below 17, we need to call in for overtime. So obviously, if we're staffed at 88 personnel and we drop down for various reasons to 78, and we're still trying to work within that 17-person minimum, there's that much more opportunity for overtime. So I do believe that the significant reduction is because we've put extra people on. Now, I can never guarantee, because it's just, we had this conversation at the firehouse the other day. The minute you think you have it figured out, somebody gets hurt. And I try to staff in such a way where I balance the tours out. So there's not one tour that has, an extra person every shift and one tour that has two people off because they're injured. So I do look at that often and try to balance it out. And then when you make a move, then the next day someone on another tour either gets sick or is injured or has shoulder surgery or something. It's very challenging to balance that. But I do think that the extra personnel is what caused the reduction. Now, in terms of what that reduction will be, I can only look at where we are today versus where we were this time last year, and give an estimate. And that's what I sent out to Mr. Smeraldo, that I think he forwarded to the council, was just where I'm estimating will be at the end of the year. Where that number is going to be, I still think it will be beyond what is being budgeted for fire overtime. But we've always been beyond what was budgeted for fire overtime. So I'd have to defer to Mr. Detiniak, where those funds come from. I know that there's always slippage and when someone retires and by the time we fill that spot, that person's no longer being paid. So sometimes that money is used for overtime. But that's for the CFO to get into.
So just in response, Council President, I just wanted to acknowledge with the chief, thank you very much on behalf of the CBAB. I think I speak on behalf of the CBAB in saying that we appreciate your efforts there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. So we are good on fire overtime. Do I understand that correctly? Okay. Thank you, Chief. You can stay on or Lee, just mute so we can't hear all of you enjoying your lives on vacation.
Yeah.
It's particularly difficult to hear that sort of thing.
I think Mr. Fagan's going to send me away, but I'll keep
Okay.
watching. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Away but not forgotten.
Ms. Carvalho. Welcome back.
Council President, prior to starting with Ms. Carvalho, it is a 2-hour it's halftime. I don't know if you want to, I'm just suggesting if anybody needs to take a break.
Okay. I keep saying 5-minute breaks and I never get you all back for 5 minutes. So let's just say 10 minutes. So please be back here at 1:37. Is that okay with everybody?
Fair.
Councilwoman Scarpa, that okay with you?
Yes, fine with me. I don't even need a break.
Okay. Thank you. We'll be back.
Okay, for the benefit of those in the Zoom audience, as you heard, Council President said, we are taking a 10-minute break. So I am going to put the Zoom on mute, so our microphones are muted, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you once again for your patience.
That was a dead tree. That was
Welcome back, West Orange Zoom audience. Thank you for your patience. We are returning from break, and now I turn the floor over to Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Welcome back, everyone. I almost made the time back time. I will keep working on it to be more timely for you. We now have the town engineer, Director Carvalho, and we're looking at the engineering budget.
Sorry,
Mr.
Council President.
Ziniak,
Yes.
please. take us.
Page 77, this is the engineering salary and wage. We're lucky to have the director here with us. Do you want to speak to the one open position, or would you like me to? So we did have an open position for assistant municipal engineer. We do have a name. We won't say the name. And we do have a salary for that right now. So we are proposing from the administration a cut of $20,000
$699.
To salaries and wages. So that would be an amendment, just as the other cuts, but that's what we're proposing for salary and wages based on the assistant municipal engineer salary.
Salary being total?
So the total salary will be $467,000, 437.
This is for the assistant?
The assistant is 114,301, which is a reduction of $20,699.
And was there a reduction from someplace else or just that?
Just
line?
that one,
Okay.
that one line. So the total for the base salaries will be $394,987. The hourly, it stays the same, which is the $72,450. And then the totals for salary and wages, which is the base plus the hourly, would be $467,437 instead of the $488,136.
The total number being 394?
467, 437. So the base goes from 415,686 to 394,987. Yes, for the base salaries.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. You're reducing the open position from 135 to 114.
Yeah, 114,301.
Right, okay.
Okay, so when you see how all the sum of that column where it says base salary, the sum totals 488,136. You see that bold number at the bottom?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that number becomes 467,437. Because you're taking out the $20,699 reduction on salary.
Right.
And then when you go to the bottom box in gray that says budget, the base plus the hourly give you that total. So the base gets reduced to 394,987. So cross out the 415,686. And that becomes 394,987. The hourly stays the same, which is the 72,450. And the sum of the two agrees with the 467,437.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. How does this salary compare to comparable communities? The 114.
It is not based, I didn't base it based on the communities around me. It is based on the individual, his qualifications and experience.
Well, I appreciate the reduction.
Do we want to consent on the revised salary and wage? I will. I consent.
Is there a consent from anyone else?
Consent.
Okay.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes, I consented.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. Next page is page 78, Division of Engineering's operating expense budget.
$21,000.
So we introduced at $56,660.71.
Okay, so we went over this yesterday and in line item 030 advertising, this was overspent. The recommended budget was 3,748. What the actual spending has been 998. I'm sorry, underspent. $998.33. So we're way under in that category. And in the next category, license collector system operator, the request was for 17,004. And the actual spend has been for 4,543. If you combine both of these categories together, the actual spend was 5,541. And the total ask was 21,148. So I'm requesting that this be reduced to save the residents $8,400. So the reduction would come in the line item 70 to reduce that budget to 17,400. I'm sorry,
that is the
that is to reduce that from 17,400 to 9,000.
I disagree with that because and just like I said it on the previous budget hearing, the collection system operator has always been charging $17,400. So how is it being paid? The difference of $11,400 is being paid out of the capital budget, which shouldn't be. I don't know why was the practices on that, but in reality, last year, we expended $40,159. If you add up the $11,400 for the license collection system operator plus the $28,758.86. And we have been lucky that he hasn't increased his rates. But it would always have to pay $17,400. Why has it always been budgeted at $6,000? I do not know the answer for that. All I know that every time that the bill has come since last year, when I was appointed the municipal engineer, it had to be taken out of the capital budget when it shouldn't be, because this is an annual expense. And it is
100%.
required by the state of New Jersey that we do have a license collection system operator for the township, and it's based on the licenses are based on the population of the municipalities.
And I hope nobody from Trenton is listening in on this, because that is just bad accounting.
So why is that happening?
I don't have a good answer for that. In fact, I didn't even know that that was charged to capital. So I learned something new. To give you a general answer to that, it was to save the operating budget is probably why it was done that way.
Can you
So-
correct that on the other side so that this is actually coming out of her budget?
Yes, yeah, we will.
Thank you. Okay.
So
In
that,
ter-
I'm sorry. I
In
didn't
terms
mean
of
to-
advertising and printing, you've far underspent. Can you see some savings there?
I am willing to basically get the 1950, which is more or less what we spent the last year. If I'm looking at the line, you're talking about 030.
Yeah, so can we make that 2,000?
Yes, we could make that
Okay.
2,000.
All right, so that's a reduction of 1,748. Mr. Detiniak. In line item 30. Moving on, in office field supplies, film, I know a lot of ink was purchased.
Yeah,
The actual, the recommended budget request was over 6,000. And what you've actually spent is closer to 3,000. Can you see a way to move down, since most of the ink for the big machine or for the big pieces of paper have been purchased?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Last week, I couldn't print for an entire week because I didn't have ink. And I didn't have any money to buy ink. I actually had to show up to a meeting with 11 by 17s, and then we have to like maximize it on a screen because I couldn't read it. And
Now,
I'm not kidding.
if
So
I can ask, since you've only spent 3 and you had 6, why was there no money to purchase it?
what do you mean only 6? If you're looking at item, what, 110?
Yes,
Okay, so 110, we spend the 75.56.99.
I have here that you spent,
Okay.
not last year, currently to date that you've spent 2,994. So there should be money in that. There should have been money in that.
There was no money on the account.
So what is the situation there? Since that's been allocated for 6,121.
Because the problem, just like the previous director was saying, if there's no money on one account, you just use another money on another account to cover expenses.
So this was slipped over someplace else and it's not actually there, even
Like,
though it's showing there?
We are working on a temporary budget.
Okay, so we will not be doing that next year. We're going to do our best, working with our budgetary advisory committee to start the process early so that no departments are working on temporary budgets through October. So this does not actually reflect, Mr. Detiniak, what's in the budget right now.
No, none of the budgets are funded at that level that we either introduced at this year or we had last year. So we started the year with a 26.25% temporary budget. We did another 25% of appropriation. So they're running on, roughly half of what they had last year. But what was spent from the overall engineering budget, what we've encumbered is $20,000.
Okay. Out of the 56.6. 20,000
Yeah.
has been spent.
Mhm.
Okay. So, all right. In terms of computer software, you've requested 20,000, 11,000 has been spent.
We have to spend $11,800.
Right.
On software actually as of to date,
Mm-hmm.
which, as everybody knows, there are annual subscriptions.
Have they
So-
been paid? Have the annual
Just
subscriptions?
for this year.
Yes.
For 2025.
Right.
So coming December 31st, after that, the subscriptions are going to expire. And depending on when the council adopts the operating budget again, I will have no money on the accounts to renew for renewals. And if that's the case, then I could be 6 months out without the software.
What are your subscription costs?
The subscription costs approximately, like I said, it is about $12,000, okay, for the AutoCAD. Okay, that's the Civil 3D. And we also have the GIS or Geographic Information System that is about $700. That's also purchased. And that's about $12,000 more or less. Now, keep in mind that every year the subscriptions do go up. I have no control over that. So in my mind, let's say 10%, right? So let's figure it's going to be about $13,500 more or less if it goes up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've paid for the subscription this year, and what you're requesting is to leave money in this budget so that you can pay at the end of the year for the next year.
Yes. Because otherwise, by the beginning of next year, I'm going to
So-
have nothing.
So then this budget should really be going down after next year to around 13,000, not 20.
Well, it depends on the call.
Right, but I'm
Yeah.
inflating it so that
Yeah,
you
so it'd
have,
be about $13,500.
Right,
Let's round it
okay.
up. And that's only and only if we don't get any more software. And
okay,
I will go into that when we present our capital budget, because they are items that we need to have in the township, like a road assessment program, in which we could actually provide transparency on how we're doing or selecting roadways
okay.
in terms of needs.
So even if we leave what is left there, it will not be enough money for you to reorder.
I think if you leave me at least $15,000, I am willing to cut 5.
Okay. Thank you.
will be, I think, sufficient for us to be able to work.
Okay. And then finally, I just want to look at item number 200, where the request was for $9,260.33. You've actually spent $691. If I'm correct, can you check on that, Mr. Detiniak?
I'm looking at the.
$691 for the
Okay.
GIS.
So, that's a big gap there.
That's because I didn't put anything this year, because I didn't have any, like, how would I say this? I don't.
How much do you need?
Honestly, I just got a proposal for the GIS because I want to map the entire township infrastructure for the storm sewers, the sanitary sewers, and actually returned it back to them because I said, I also want you to include actually getting the actual location,
Yes.
and so that in the future, maybe we could take it from there and expand and do a capacity analysis study.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much capacity are actually on our pipes, how much can they handle every time it rains, or,
Yes.
you know, and the sewage and everything else. So the proposal that I got from them was close to $24,000 just for the GIS mapping and updating. But that doesn't include all the other like field work that goes along with that. So
Okay.
and I told them, like, try to break it up in phases. So maybe we could go little by little.
All right. So then if the money is going towards that and you can do it in 2 phases, I think it's a great idea. It's really necessary for our town.
I gonna say this and I'm gonna reiterate this. I am literally working in the dark.
I
don't
understand.
know what we truly own, and sometimes I do not know what we really have, where it's located and what the elevations are. Like,
Mhm.
I literally have to go out there, pop a manhole and have somebody, like, you know, with a rod and measure the depth,
Right.
because we don't even know how deep it is.
So you have generously offered to save the residents almost $6,700. Can I ask you, how much does it cost to get the camera that you need to go into the manholes?
The camera is not for me, that would be for DPW. What I
Okay.
need for my staff and myself to be able to work, so I'm not in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
would be to really map the entire township. And I am expecting that something, and a study like that, and, you know, we will need to do it with surveying and everything else.
Mhm.
I'm expecting probably the consultant probably is gonna come back with a number closer to like maybe 100.
Mm-hmm.
But like I have expected or requested from them is like to give me a number so that the sanitary and the storm could be located simultaneously. So it will cost less to the township, because every time a professional has to go out and do the locations, every time that they come out, it's going to cost me more. I know this because I used to do survey work. So every time that you ask me to come out, you ask me to do a boundary survey, okay? I come out and do the boundary, and then you call me again because now you need a topography, and then I'm going to charge you another $300 to $400 more for coming out,
Mm-hmm.
plus the day. So expect a lot of money is going to be needed for special services, map, and training. And right now we're in the process of updating or creating new maps for the township, because the maps that we have are from 1996. There are
Mhm.
missing roads.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm done with my questions. Does anybody have any more questions? I'd like to make a proposal, then a motion. Thank you for offering to reduce it by 67. I'm going to make a motion to reduce this budget only by 5,000. And I hope that everything, you know, every line item that has excess that you can use towards putting towards the GIS mapping, because it's critical. And I also would like to know how much that camera will help you eventually too, how much that will cost.
The CCTV inspection services, okay? It would be a good investment for the township, but now you got to keep in mind too, and I cannot speak on behalf of the DPW director, but you definitely would need somebody to be trained.
Right.
And personnel on now how to use it. So that way we wouldn't have to be constantly expending money with private companies basically to do the CCTV inspection for us.
Right. So at some point, can you give the council some information on how much that camera would cost? Or is that something that DPW would be? in
I
charge
could
of?
work with DPW director in obtaining some quotes and
Okay.
also figuring out how much training and personnel would it be needed for
Right.
something like that? Because the camera that DPW has now is very small.
Mhm.
You can only look through certain pipes or like, and it also, it's not that great underwater.
Right. Just so that the public understands this, we just had a manhole situation in front of the Cambria Hotel, and it cost the taxpayers almost $500,000. And one of the things that we desperately needed was to send a camera down. So if we have a camera on board, we can save a lot of money in order to be able to assess these problems. So I just want to continue with the motion. I make a motion to reduce this page by $5,000 and let the director figure it out in whatever way works best.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? I would like to just follow up on what you guys were talking about. I would also like to see an estimate of how long it will take to make back the money that we're going to spend on the camera to acquire the operating expenses and the training. And I'd just like to see, based upon your current usage, how long it's going to take for that to pay for itself. Just see what I'm saying? That's just part of the process to figure out whether it's worth the investment.
First, I would need to figure out the miles of pipe that we have, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Because right now I don't know. And it is a shame. It really is, but that's the reality.
Right, you're
Can
gonna
I
fix
do-
it.
Can I do a rough estimate based on the miles of road? Yeah, sure. But I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna be accurate because I do believe we have a lot of pipe.
Right, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of paying somebody else to
Well,
do the, how long would it take us to make back the money? So then we're actually saving money for the taxpayer. So if you could just include that, that would be great, please.
Okay.
So I think we have a motion, so we need to take a vote,
Yes.
madam.
Councilwoman Rudin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes,
Council President Krokoviac.
Yes,
The motion carries.
great. And we also need consent on this page if we're done with it.
Consent.
consent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Council President, pages 79 to 91 are the DPW pages, and just as we discussed earlier, that's
We will return. We shall return.
There-
Council President, we're moving to page 92, Health Department, salaries and wages.
Mr. Fonzino, Director Fonzino.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can I just ask one question? Why is the wildlife maintenance under the building and the public building and operations, since that's really coming under Mr. Ponzino's budget?
which line item is that?
That's on page 79 in line item 200.
That's for goose control.
It's always come out of the Department of Public Works budget. It's not a health department budget item. Although we help them secure the contract and administer it, the money comes out of,
Okay,
the I guess, building and grounds or whatever.
got it.
So salary and wage request is for $713,492.90. There's no open positions listed here. These are all individual employees.
Is there any discussion? They can go to consent then. I consent.
Consent.
Consent. I think so.
Now we're moving to page 93 and page 94. This is the general health operating expenses.
Okay. I have haven't had a chance to go over this line by line, so I just would like to know, we just approved last week the Essex Regional Health Commission's contract. What is that contract? How much was that contract?
That's not reflected in here. That's through a grant.
Yep.
So it's not part of this line item.
Line item 41.
Correct.
This is a grant?
Not this line item. The contract you approved last week
Oh, okay.
is through a grant.
Okay, so what is there a contract for this?
Yes.
Okay, and,
This is actually a couple different contracts.
okay, can you break that down for us?
I don't have the exact figures, but I could tell you that this includes the air pollution control contract and the licensed health officer contract,
And the what?
licensed health officer contract.
And where are those people? Are they're with
They work-
Essex Regional?
Yeah.
Okay, so we pay a yearly amount for each of those two positions? Can you tell me what that amount is, please?
I could tell you the health officer contract is 20,000 a year.
Okay, and the air pollution?
That number I don't have off the top of my head. I want to say it's probably. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. The licensed health officer, do they do inspections that your staff does
No.
not do?
They're strictly administrative, required by law to have a licensed health officer.
What do they actually do?
They help me administratively and sign off on things that I can't sign off on.
But your team does the field work and then they
Yes.
sign off on your field work?
Well, they don't have to sign off. There's certain things they have to sign off on. Some of this grant stuff, some of the, the contracts, things like that.
Okay.
We previously had a full-time health officer, and this was to save the town money. We went with a contract instead of replacing that employee.
Okay. So we're just waiting to hear what the air pollution officer's contract is.
It's not an officer,
Oh.
it's the service, like air, noise and water, like when we have noise complaints, we send them out. This is that contract,
Okay,
or,
and have they been used this year?
absolutely.
It's $3,912.50 for air pollution.
Okay, so that line item is 35,000. We're actually spending under 24,000.
Councilwoman, we're requesting more money for a rodent control contract. If you remember from my
Yes, I
initial
do.
budget hearing, that's the difference there. Yeah.
$11,000 for rodent control?
I believe it was not to exceed
Not to exceed 17.5.
17.5, correct?
Okay, so I understand you're having rodent control. What about investing in garbage cans that were better? I mean, rodent, rats come because there's garbage available.
No,
So
absolutely.
Instead of investing in rodent control, can we invest in better garbage bins?
The garbage bin proposed project is going to be coming before you when we do the capital budget.
Is this going to be similar to the one that was voted down, I think, in the last council term?
The proposal, we mentioned this once before. We have discussed about doing a pilot program in a specific area of the town without to name names, because we don't want to get people hopeful or excited or whatever the case may be. But it is a definitive area that we are going to work with our hauling provider, and we would do this with the carts to see. Because the previous council requested if we were ever to consider this again under the next contract, there was no data provided. So what we want to do in this next proposal is to get carts with ID chips or RFID chips that would actually provide that data for us. It's twofold. One, to see if we can provide a better service to the municipality, and also to help with the rodent control situation. and it would be able to provide this data. We would purchase the carts, but at the end of the trial period, we would have the option to sell the carts back. So this would be pretty much on used as, if we continue with it, we own the carts. If we don't continue with the program, we sell them back. So it's, so we've developed this, but as previously discussed with any capital project, we're gonna wait till it's time for the capital project. So we do have a plan in place to present to the council, just it's not ready to be presented yet.
Councilwoman Scarpa, I know you have raised your hand. I'm just, Councilwoman Rudin has the floor. As soon as she's
Okay.
finished, I'll get to you. Thank you.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I just want to ask, in terms of the licensed health officer, is that a credential that you also have?
I don't. not
Okay,
this time.
so what would it take to get you to have that license? How much would that cost?
It's not a cost thing. I haven't finished my master's degree yet to qualify to sit for the exam.
Okay, so are you planning on?
Trying. Time is limited, but yes, I'm trying.
Okay,
You're a little
so
busy.
how far are you from that goal?
I'm in the very early stages.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm a little bit skeptical about spending $11,000 on rats right now, when I think we should be spending it on better sanitation. So,
Councilwoman, if I
Wait.
may.
We've got good going back and forth, but please just wait till the
Sorry, I
other person
apologize.
finishes.
I
No, there's no big deal.
is
So-
there a contract that you're looking at, and what does it provide? And we're talking about $11,000 from now, which is, we're basically looking at from August until December. Is that what it would cost our township? $11,000?
This is all complaint driven. We have a serious rodent problem throughout this township.
Right,
And that's why we did a not to exceed, because honestly, I can't predict. We're not going out doing proactive baiting, because we're really baiting where the problems arise. So it's all complaint driven, where we get complaints, and where we can do baiting with Essex Regional, we would do that. So it's hard to really give you a hard figure on that. We're estimating not to exceed the 17.5. That includes all the bait, that includes all the labor, and any of the paperwork that goes along with that.
I would really like to see some numbers on that before we approve that, because I understand we have a rodent problem. I'd like to attack it in a different way, and it sounds like we may be with the change in contract. So I would like to hold on this until you can come back maybe again and tell us how much we will be spending from August until December on the rodent problem.
Best I could do is tell you how many complaints we have, and
No, I know you have complaints, but I want to know how much it costs to have Essex Regional come in and deal with that problem. Because they seem to have a set fee for the licensed health officer, for the air pollution. So is this a set fee for?
it's hard to predict, because when they charge to go out and do the initial, put out the bait station, that you're not going to get charged twice for it. So it's a one-time fee of the bait
Right.
station. And then they put the bait in, and they come back every so often to check on it and replenish the bait as necessary. It's very hard to predict how many times they're going to have to replenish bait.
Does Essex Regional act as an exterminator?
They have licensed pest control applicators, yes.
So are they subcontracting out to?
No, their personnel does it.
All right,
And it's cheaper than going with a private exterminator. We've determined that.
is this going to be in one area or is this throughout town?
They can only do it on our behalf on township-owned properties, or properties like easements and things that are in our control. We cannot
This is not main,
You
okay.
can't bait private property.
Okay, so we're talking about township-owned properties, the library, the town hall.
Correct. Theoretically, they could bait those
Okay.
if we're having a problem.
Are we having a rat problem at town hall?
Not that I know of.
Are
Oh,
we-
well, adjacent to town hall. we
Okay,
don't, yes.
but are we having a rat problem at the library? Where are we having a rat problem
I
on
don't know off
public
the top of my head. I
property?
mean, there's complaints everywhere.
Now, I understand there are complaints throughout town, and particularly on Main Street, but this contract is only for public property. So where is this being targeted?
Wherever there's a problem and we can put bait, we'll do it.
I know, I'd
So
just
we
like to
used-
hear where the problem
we
is.
when we got a complaint in the past, we used to be able to bait stormwater catch basins. Can no longer do that anymore. It's against the DEP regulations.
Okay,
So, like, if I was on your street and you said you saw rats,
Mhm.
and it's like a two-part process. We ask the homeowner to bait their property because we can't bait it, and then we would bait like the nearest catch basins. Now that we can't do that, we have to rely on using tamper-proof bait boxes and other approved methods to bait property that is owned by us or controlled by us. So if you were, the difference would be if there was a stream adjacent to your home where you were having a rodent problem, we could handle that because we're in control of it.
Mhm. Okay,
So if I may, one of the areas we just had recently was our town-owned parking lot over here between Northfield and Lindsley and Wheeler over that area. And it came over onto our properties over here by the police department and over at the Renner House. A lot of that had to do with people feeding the feral cat colony. And we had to take care of, so we had to deal with that kind of issue. We have notified both the Renner House is now enforcing it because that's private property, but it butts up to us. And so we've identified some of the people who have not, were doing this, and we've asked them not to participate. And so we're hoping that this has been, reduced or eradicated, but the rodent problem was actually affecting the businesses on Main Street where they were going to, possibly get into those properties. And so that's where we just recently, that's an example of, but it could be any one of our properties. All of our properties, when it comes to parking lots, municipal lots, are usually typically abutted up to establishments. And if there are food sources, whether it's from that establishment or otherwise, that could be a problem for us. And sometimes we can't predict where that's going to be. And if it is generated because of a business, then the health department has to notify that business to stop what they're doing so we can help eradicate. So we wouldn't have to do this kind of program.
so I would like there to be more of an explanation about more places where this is a problem to justify the expenditure of another $11,000 on this. I'm just, you're saying that the cats created a problem, the cats issue has been addressed.
Well, it's being addressed. I don't know if it's been eradicated. I'm sorry.
Okay, so at this point, I would not be in favor of the allocating $11,000 for rats on public property. That's my assessment. Should we continue on or have more discussion on that?
If you want to cut something and the director doesn't want to cut it, then we would move to a motion and
And I'm not saying that this isn't a problem, but I think I'd just like to have more information and just to justify this type of expense on our municipal properties, because I'm not getting a great sense of where this is.
if I could, just want you to finish
Thank you.
discussion so that Councilwoman Scarpa can speak up, but please go ahead. And then I'll get to.
Is it my turn?
No, I wanted,
Oh,
I'm done.
Councilwoman Rudin has the floor. I just trying to remind her that you're still there. We know you're there. Thank you for your
Okay.
patience. But what is being discussed is that, that $11,000 dollar allocation. And you had said you're not in favor of that.
No,
So, and then you asked, how do we change that? And we would have to go through a motion to reduce this. if
right.
the
I don't want to
director-
make a motion until there's more discussion, like you suggested.
Okay,
Okay,
that's fine. So is now the time for Councilwoman Scarpa to,
yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa, thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you. It looks like this is a little bit like one of those mulligan stews, and I agree with Councilwoman Rudin that we need a little bit more information. I have a number of questions about what I'm hearing. One of them is I had done significant research throughout our community, and there is no appetite for us to move to those carts. And I remember asking if we did do when it was turned down, if we did do this pilot, can we have this garbage pickup for that part of town only where there was the problem? And the answer was no. And to me, I will not vote for it. It'll be a complete waste of time and money if we cannot do that. If we are looking at moving for the entire township to move to carts. So I need a better understanding of exactly where we're going and what strategic approach is going to be taken to the rat problem and this problem. So that's one thing. I feel like I agree with Councilwoman Rudin. I want to better understand how we're going to manage all of these things in this department. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the licensed health officer. We just hired a new deputy municipal department head. Isn't that person a licensed health officer? And if so, why wouldn't they be able to do this project that gets billed out for 20K every year? I think it was more in the past. And then the third question I have is I had seen an RFQ go by for a supervisor of nurses, which I had talked about in terms of, supervisors of nurses and of teachers being a level of management that perhaps we can cut. So I wanted all three of those things addressed.
So 3 questions, Mr. Fonzino. Before you answer the first question, I just want to make sure that it's clear that that is part of the budget discussion. Is the pilot program, Mr. Speraldo, that you're asking about, is that part of this budget right now?
It is not. However, I just want to add one thing to the pilot program where we would like to be considered for is an area that has a higher Berman reported incidents than others. So it was to include an area that if we want to be successful and tested, we want to put it in the area that's most affected. So that based on the data we had. So
Yes.
But that's not my
into-
question. Yeah, my question is, are we able, it's a waste of money if we're looking at putting this throughout the entire township, because I would not vote for that.
No, Councilwoman,
My
this is
question
not.
is, can we do this? If the pilot program works nicely, can we have the carts only in one part of town where we have the problem? That's my question that I'd like answered.
And the answer is yes. We have a specific targeted area of approximately 8 to 10 streets, which would be just a reflection of what we're trying to get accomplished. It's a very minimal pilot program, and it would also be strictly voluntary on the part of the residents. And when we're ready to present it, we'll give you more of the details. But it will be, and we will be providing the carts, and then we have the option to return the carts if it's not a successful program. It's strictly pilot.
Yes.
Okay, but
hold on just a second, please, Councilwoman Scarpa. I just want to make it clear that what you're talking about is certainly a worthwhile subject, but it is not part of this budget. So I would prefer not to spend time talking about something that's not part of this budget. And it also,
I know, but it's-
indicates that, you have time to address this with Mr. Speraldo separately at another time and much more in depth. So unless I see it incorrectly, I just think we should move on to the other two questions.
Well, I see it as a part of a strategic problem that we're looking at, and we're going to make a determination of whether we should be funding the rat control. And this is a part of that whole problem. So, I think we need to look at this problem as a whole and strategically. But I still want to better understand, are you saying that if we do this pilot program for this garbage and we determine that it's effective in the area where we have the rat programs, that we can then have a contract to just do the carts in that specific area of town and not all over the town? That's my question.
The answer is yes. That's what we intend to do. And just to add to that with the caveat that we're talking, like when we talked about the police and fire with emergency services, this is a public safety health issue with the vermin. So even if we are successful in you agreeing to the pilot program, by the time we actually get to it, present it, be awarded the funding, purchase the carts and implement it, we still may have a lag time of 4, 6, 8 months where we still haven't eradicated the current situation we have now. So I just leaned over to Director Fonzino before. I think it would be if this is something, so we can, whether we want to decide about this or not, since we have other meetings, I could ask the director to put together some kind of a report for you for consideration, and maybe just put this particular project on hold for now, and then we can make a more informed decision at that point, if that seems to work for everybody.
Okay, so the second question. We have a deputy municipal department head. Is that person a licensed health officer, and can they assume this role and save us the $20,000?
No, she is not.
Okay. Is it that hard of a position to find someone for?
It costs a significant amount more money to hire a full-time person than to contract for the licensed health officer.
Right, but I would say as we look to hire, not that we're hiring anybody now, these things should be considered when we hire, that, we have someone who can assume all of these various functions. The third
Again,
thing is,
Sorry.
okay, go ahead. Did you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna say the health officer, a full-time health officer would be a higher salary than the deputy municipal department head.
Right. Okay. I just want to, look at that as we, move forward, because, we're paying for this. This is a recurring cost every year. So we need to, look at when we make our hires and when we develop our departments. One of the things that Mr. Detiniak has committed to do for us when we interviewed him is to look at how our departments are functioning and make sure that they're functioning efficiently and that we're using our staff and our resources in an efficient way. So I just want us to look at that towards the future. Now, and that brings us to, the supervisor of nurses. I saw something go out for June and I don't see that on here. Are you looking at having a supervisor for nurses? And where is it on this budget?
Yes, we were looking to fund that. When I came before you in May, we were looking to fund that because the federal government rescinded the grant that was previously funding that. The good news is that the grant was partially given back for X amount of time. But there's still a need to fund part of that.
Well, where is that in this budget?
It's not under this category.
Well, what category is it in? And how much is it?
It's under the health center, senior health center, I think it's called.
That's Laura Van Dyke's budget?
No, we're not there yet. It's a different division in the health department budget. It's further down.
I would like to know exactly what line item it is and how much it's funded for.
Can we address that when we get to that part?
Yes, as long as we address it.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Ms. Bennett, I believe you're next in line.
Thank you, Council President. Just by way of comment, I know we've done this, the Citizen Budget Advisory Board has looked at salaries and compared them to the actual salary ranges that the League of Municipalities reports. And for a health officer in a municipality in the state of New Jersey, the salary is between 117 and 140. And that presupposes that that individual has the requisite qualifications. So I think that just as a point of information, this may be a concern, but moving to the budget and budget items, I'm going to read off a number of line items. 030, 082, 110, 111. I believe that's 112, 113, 114, 116, 117, 131. Sorry if I'm going too fast, 134, 200, and 201. Each of those line items is one that was not spent in 2024, although it's budgeted the same amount for 2025. You'll notice at the bottom of this page budget, while the final 2024 budget was $39,236.63, only 48% of that was utilized. Yet the budget request is 26% higher than last year's budget request. I think this is a place where you can see considerable savings. I trust that Director Fonzina would be able to figure out how to proportion the savings, but if you look at what was utilized versus, or what was requested versus what was utilized, history being the best predictor of future need, I would suggest that this is a budget where you might be able to see some, or work together to collaborate to see some savings.
So, Ms. Bennett, just in the hopes that maybe we can cut the process short of addressing those issues, have you come up with a number that you would suggest that the council consider to reduce the budget to reflect this, I guess, lack of spending to the budgeted amount?
So we don't have a number. We just identify the areas that haven't been spent. I mean, you can look at the budget here, and even if you fund it at the dollar amount that was used last year, sorry for the noise in the background.
That would be the 18,000 from last year. Is that the number you're?
Even if you funded at 20,000, you're going to experience a considerable savings. I suspect that the director might suggest that that's too tight of a belt for his palate, but there's somewhere in between that I would imagine you could agree, and he could then determine where best to put those savings to work.
Mr. Fonzina, did you get all of those line items? Because it
was fast.
I didn't, yes.
If you want to go through those lines, it would be easier for me to go one by one, to be honest with you.
Okay, we can do that. Again, I was just looking for, let's just say if the number is $8,000, then maybe we could just say, can you agree to an $8,000 cut or whatever is being discussed? Or do we need to go through them line to line?
It really depends on the line,
Okay.
honestly. Yeah.
Just Council President, it'll be easy. Instead of repeating the line items that I circled, if you look at the column that says paid or charged 12/31/2024, if it's blank, it's included in that group. With the exception of petty cash, because petty cash, $100 felt nominal.
To be honest with you, petty cat, we no longer have that. So that's going to come out anyway.
So Ms. Bennett, just to confirm, everything in that category paid or charged 12/31/2024 that does not show a spend in 24 is what you're talking about.
If it correct, Council President, if it has a budget request for 2025, then it's included. You'll see that some don't have a spend, but also don't make a request for 2025.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think there's room in this particular budget to actualize some savings, and I would encourage you, the board would encourage you to consider that.
The fire department lives on without their vaunted leader. Anyway, Mr. Fonzino, do you want to go through each of these line items as Ms. Bennett suggested?
Council President, just correction. I don't suggest that you go through each of those line items. I suggest that the council come up with a reasonable number with Mr. Fonzino, and you allow Mr. Fonzino the ability to use his discretion on how to actualize the savings through his budget.
Yes, I agree. And that's what I was looking for, but we don't have that number. So the alternative,
I can come up with the number.
the alternative is to go through it line by line. So,
I think it would be more expeditious if we just came up with a number and let Mr. Fonzino negotiate the budget items himself. So
I would agree.
the.
I agree, but we
the-
don't have a number. That's.
Okay, so the amount that the budget advisory committee recommended was that the total recommended budget be cut from 49,684 to $20,000. That's still providing a cushion from what was paid or charged last year. I'm going to suggest that we bring it to 25,000 and have a savings of almost 25,000 for the community.
I would second that.
It's not a motion. It's not a
Oh.
motion yet. We're still discussing. We can get to that if we want, but
I need to see them.
So
There
you're
are,
cutting it down to 25,000, so 14,000. Right, you're cutting it to 25,000?
yes,
So you look at the bottom.
you're talking about a roughly 50% cut in
Yeah.
the proposed budget.
based on actual usage on all of the blank fields, and hopefully next year we have a better way to really track what you're spending.
Yes, so we had this situation with the fire department. I want to make sure that we are not having the same situation here. The numbers on page 94 are exact, or at least pretty close to what actual experienced last year. Which it says that the department spent roughly 48% of the budget last year. And that's essentially what the board and Councilwoman Rudin are talking about here, roughly $25,000.
So there were charges in 2025 against the 2024 budget, and the full amount is $9,195. So you have to increase that 18 to 9,000. Increase by 9,195.
So we're talking about roughly $28,000
Yeah,
was
let's
spent.
say
against
28,000.
the budget.
Mhm.
To date,
Yeah, as of
in
today,
all of the
yeah.
categories, 28,000 has been spent.
Last year. Or are you saying last year or this year?
Last year, and then what was charged against the 24 budget this year. So liabilities incurred in 24, but not booked till
Right.
25. So
So you're talking about 24 budget instead of this 18,841 and change. It's the actual spending is roughly $28,000
Correct.
from last year. So it's not 48, it's closer to 75%. I can't do the math in my head. And then, so now we have a better understanding of 2024, year-to-date spending 2025.
Okay, and what is the total spending in this category this year?
$28,036.48.
To date
To date.
has been spent.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, nothing else is gonna get charged to it at this point. These were for those in the beginning of the year that went against 24.
Okay, again, I want to be sure we're talking about apples and apples. Did you just talk about 2024? Because I thought.
That's what they're talking about. They're talking about the 2024 budget. That's where all this is coming from. They're saying you only spent 48% of the budget. So I'm saying that there were charges against the 2024 budget in 2025, because again, this is a paid or charged as of
Right.
12/31/2024. So the true spend against the 2024 budget is, what did I say? 29,000? $28,036,
And is that coming out of 2024 or
Yeah.
2025?
2024. And then the 2025 spend,
Yes, that's what we're looking for.
so you have 17, like 19,000 right now.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have the floor? I can't even remember now. It's been so long. Let's just go to Ms. Bennett because she was,
Just a clarifying question, Mr. Detiniak, on those numbers. So your actual spend for 2024 was 28,000. I'm rounding.
Yeah, if you include the 2025 expenditures against 2024, yeah, it's $28,036.
And when you give that number, do you then subtract those actual dollars spent in 2025 from the spend in 2025?
No.
Okay, so then we're counting those numbers twice.
No.
I think if I can take it out of accounting terms, the money that was spent, it was literally spent or incurred as a liability in 24, was then on a cash basis paid in 25.
I understand,
But,
Council
but
President.
that's all applied to 24. So we're not double counting,
Well,
but
could you please explain it again, Mr. Detiniak?
sure.
Thank you.
Sure. So municipal budgets, we run two separate budget years. So you run the current year and then you run the appropriation reserve year. So if we go back to 2024, as of the end of 2024, we had booked against the 2024 budget $18,841.48. At some point in 2025, you get a bill from Essex Health Regional. Maybe you got it in February, but it was for December 2024. You would book it against the 2024 budget. So it's a 2024 budget year expenditure, but you posted it in 2025.
And
Now-
you're,
Oh, sorry.
I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, Council President, but I just want to make sure I understand this. So when you're counting, when it is a bill from 2024 incurred in 2024, but you're paying for it in 2025, you're not including that in your 2025 spend number that you just shared with us.
Correct.
that would be inappropriate accounting.
Right. So the way it works is in the current year that we have, all of our current year appropriations are in the 2010 account structure. And then the previous year, it's all the same accounts except they have a 2030 account structure. So if I'm trying to charge the prior year, 2024, I'm charging the 2030 account structure. If I'm charging the current year, it's the 2010 account structure. Maybe that's hard to just explain that, without showing anything, but getting back to paid or charged 2024, all in, that's that 28,036, because again, there were expenditures in 2025 that went against the 2024 budget. And then we have expenditures specific to 2025. That, like I said, it's the 19,000 number that I gave.
Okay,
So, Council President, that's the reason why before I didn't want to give you a number, because I suspected that there is a current spend and then there's a planned continued spend for the rest of the year. So I think that the number has to be a reasonable reduction so that you're covering what the spend will be for 2025, but you're not over.
okay. So we have the path that diverges into the woods and we can only take one. So do we want to just pull together a number and ask Mr. Fonzino if he can work with that? Or do we want to go line by line as I think Mr. Fonzino wants to do? I think everybody would like to just deal with one number and let you try to address that from a cumulative budget, from a total budget perspective? Ms. Bennett,
Council President, I apologize that sometimes I raise my hand again. I just want you to understand that the entire Citizen Budget Advisory Board who is watching is also sending messages, so this just came in. So based on what we just discussed, that means that 71% of last year's budget was spent. So if you look at last year's budget and you take like a 75% number, you should, if you're at 19 now and you go up to about 30, you're still going to actualize a cost savings, but you should be able to cover everything plus.
right. So Mr. Fonzino, perhaps you can just discuss the budget from a cumulative perspective. You've got the proposed budget item this year is 49,600 and change. You've spent 19 year to date. That's quite a discrepancy. So maybe you could explain why there's a discrepancy here in early August and what your plans, what your expectations, not your plans and your expectations for spending the rest of the year.
So I think I stated this in the first budget hearing. Some of these, I'll call them no-show charges we did really try to offset a lot of costs with grants where we could. So we did that last year. We're not going to have the opportunity to really do that this year. So there are a few lines that I could probably do away with. I mean, it's not going to be a tremendous savings. But there are lines here that are necessary. It's harder for me to give you a cumulative because I'm looking at it, you know, from line to line, the actual things that I need to operate. So, I mean, I could just tell you by looking at this real quickly, you know, printing obviously is a necessity. We use that for our vital statistics safety paper that we have to, you know, get from the state, and it's very expensive. So that I can't really do anything with. The petty cash is gonna go away. I could do away with the advertising and recording. I know it's only $25, but the DEP license is a set fee. It's required. I need to hold on to that. The education courses in education, we've been fortunate that a lot of our continuing education courses have been free, but I can tell you that there are a couple coming up that are going to exceed $350. So I need to keep that request there. The laboratory contract, that's a required contract, and it's that's a lump sum. Well, we pay that quarterly, I'm sorry. Office supplies, we do our office supply order in October usually. Again, I think we used a lot of grant offset last year.
Perhaps if we not go through these line items that are less than $1,000, but can you give an estimate as to how much grant money you were able to apply to last year's 2024 budget?
I don't have it in front of me. I mean, I could get you the numbers, but it definitely, you know, covered these smaller, you know, office supply things, you know, because we had to get them anyway. So, you know, we were able to utilize what we got.
How about the e-cig enforcement program?
So that money, I think I explained the last time, comes directly from our licensing of e-cigarette establishments. So that money is coming out of that account. I don't know, Mr. Detiniak, if that account is officially by rider or not, but the idea was that money would go back into these two accounts, the one for salary and wage for the inspectors to do the inspections, and part of it to go into the operating for education and enforcement.
And the computer contract?
That's going to go away. We switched to Municity now, so we're not going to have that charge anymore.
So should that be something
That
that,
can go, yeah.
that goes in 25?
Do you have that?
Think for the sake of time and other departments have done it. You know, we will cut 15%, $7,500 if we can move on.
15%, $7,500?
Yeah.
That does not seem enough, considering that I'm also requesting that the rat poisoning program not go forward. So I'm okay with cutting 17,000. Because that is on top. The 11,000 is on top of that percentage.
I would second that.
It's not a motion yet.
Okay.
So what we have on the floor, I feel like a auctioneer.
Yes.
What I have, do you have, do you have? So what we have is a offer of to cut 15% of the budget, which is roughly $7,500. And Councilwoman Rudin wants to do more, do
Yes.
substantially more. So I guess we just make a motion and address what Councilwoman Rudin wants to do and see if it has, in this case, 2 votes.
So Council President, before we make that vote, I did offer before that Director Fonzino put together some kind of data or letter just to present before we actually make the vote. We're going to be coming back here anyway to other discussions. If we can get that to you, to the council for consideration, and at that point, at least make it an informed decision from his perspective. And if at the time you still want to cut it, at least give him the opportunity to present that. That's
Okay.
the only thing I'm suggesting.
I think that's okay, but Councilwoman Bennett, Ms. Bennett. Ms. Bennett.
So Council President, you can always take your action and hear from them later and make a decision to change what you've done. I would just point out that what was stated here today was that there's not a rat problem on township land, and that's the only place where they can bait. And so it sounds very murky. And if you look at the spend from last year, this is a place where you can cost save and still fund a budget. So I encourage you to keep going. And if there is something, you can always go back and review it.
Okay.
I would agree.
And correct me if I'm wrong, though, if we do cut it, we're going to need 4 votes to bring it back, correct?
Correct.
That's why I'm only saying that, not saying that we won't cut it out. We're not going to say we're not going to, but it would be more of a challenge to reintroduce it and then it's to just hold off on information and then make a final decision. That's all.
Yeah, and if this was our last planned workshop for the year, which I wish it was, but I don't think it is, I would be more opposed to that. But I do think, I personally, and I think the other council people agree, we should make these decisions based upon the most informed we can possibly be, and at that point we can do that. So that would be my reaction. I think it's a good idea, but again, it's not up to me. It's up to the 3 council people here. So I think it would be a better idea to get a better understanding of this, particularly on how much the grants paid for last year and how much they're not going to pay for this year, and some of the other issues that were raised. I did not hear that we do not have a rodent problem on township property. I heard that we do. So I'm inclined, again, if we're trying to fix a rodent problem, and rodents are portable. So even though we can only do it on town-owned and controlled property, doesn't mean that they stay on there. So I'd be interested in that. But again, it sounds like Councilwoman Scarpa, Councilwoman Rudin want to push this today. And I don't see any way to enforce my choice unless we have a vote. So what is your pleasure, Councilwoman Rudin and Councilwoman,
Okay, I'd like,
Councilwoman Scarpa? She just raised her
Oh,
hand
sorry.
before I could. Councilwoman
Oh.
Scarpa.
Yeah, I'd like to move forward and let Councilwoman Rudin make the motion. I think we should just, cut as much as we can. We can always put it back if there's a reason to do so.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion to cut out the $11,000 for the rat poison and then another 7,000 just to account for the zero spending items that we're seeing here. And it's not just 1 year, it's 2 years. So for that reason, I would like to suggest a reduction of $18,000.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Just want to make sure we know the numbers here. So the recommended budget for 2025 for the health department is almost $50,000. And what Councilwoman Rudin is saying is that we will reduce that by $18,000, roughly a third. And that's the motion that's on the floor. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any further discussion? I know we've discussed this a lot. And when I say further discussion, Mr. Fonzino, if there's something that you think needs to be considered before we vote, you're certainly welcome to speak, but primarily it's to the other council pieces.
So
Mr. Diniak
I
wants
think
to
I'll
talk.
speak for everyone and we strongly disagree with this reduction and that's it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Rudin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Council President Krokoviac.
No.
Okay, motion carries.
Motion carries. So again, just to be clear, Mr. Fonzino, Mr. Smeraldo, if you want to come back with a more detailed
We intend to present a report. So
Okay.
This way we'll just lay out the facts for your consideration. That's all.
okay, that I think that would be appropriate. Thank you.
Mhm.
What's next, Mr. Tiniak?
So moving on to the omnibus transportation salaries and wages. The ask is $582,922.
So I see here that there's an open position. Can somebody speak to that?
So we have an open position, but what we've done is we've brought on per diem drivers that will essentially share the pool of money to fulfill the need for, was it routes?
Well, we just, effective today, we opened Route 7.
Route 7, yeah.
So we now have 7 routes due to the increased ridership. And how we were able to accomplish this, that we hired part-time per diems over and above what we actually need to run the routes. So we need 14 routes per week. But we have additional drivers because some of our drivers actually work part-time other places. So it's just more about coverage. The part-timers only get paid for the hours that are worked. So it doesn't matter how many we have in the pool, but it's a matter of getting the coverage. And Council President, as we've discussed at times before, we're looking to do something with the capital budget to help offset these costs. But at this point, it became necessary to help the riders because we just had such a dramatic increase. I believe the last number I had was we average about 100,000 riders a year on our program based on the information provided by the Transportation Department. And our largest route, which was Route 6, essentially covered from 280 on Pleasant Valley Way all the way down to the bottom of Eagle Rock Avenue and then some over down by the Edison factory. So we've essentially split the route, creating 6 and 7 by splitting that route in half because we've seen a dramatic increase in ridership in that area.
Is this for the jitney service?
Yes, this is for the jitney commuter service, correct? So this is the service that's provided from approximately 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and then from approximately 5:30 to about 8 p.m. or so, thereabouts, depending on, you know, if the trains are stuck or whatever the case may be. So our drivers, the drivers will adjust accordingly, but typically they're back by 8. So
Can you explain why some drivers are paid so much? Are they working many more hours?
some of the drivers are full timers. They work during the daytime. They provide to our senior services. They drive our seniors to and from shopping and doctor's appointments and personal events and such as, you know, things that are sponsored by the township and things of that nature. And then anything else.
So is this, I'm just trying to get an accurate figure of what the jitney service is costing, but this is also including senior services in here too.
Yes.
Senior transportation.
Right. So, and they are using the jitneys during the day, but shouldn't that be coming from a senior budget?
It's all combined into one.
It's the transportation division. Buses, it's the same buses. Just we have some full-time and some part-time. When we assumed the jitney service in September, I think it was September 1 of 2023, we assumed the whole responsibility of both the commuter service and the senior delivery service. So we combined it into one division.
Okay. Is there some way to extrapolate out of this how much the jitney service actually costs us?
We could probably do something like that, but I don't have that in front of me right now.
And just to follow up on what she was saying, I know we've been talking for a long time about getting a clearer picture of how much money we spend on the jitney service, because of course we don't charge for it and we don't check residency. So I think we need to get that sooner rather than later. And it's not just the drivers, but it's the gasoline and the capital costs and also the transportation coordinators. But I think we really need that. And part of that, I would assume we can find out exactly how much money we're spending on the jitney and how much money we're spending on senior services. We should be able to pull those numbers out, but I'd like to get that sooner rather than later.
And per our conversations, but for, you know, the sake of here today, we have looked into costs to start doing a ridership program, a cost for ridership program where we would identify township residents only and how much, what would be an applicable fee to help cover these costs. So we do have that, but you know, as we discussed earlier, you know, we're waiting for this to be done before we start presenting the capital. So we'll look to break all those costs out for you. We'll see what we can do with that.
Yeah, please. And send us the data. The more time we have to look at it, the better prepared we will be when it finally comes to us.
Okay.
Shouldn't it
Please.
be easily done by hours? I mean, you have the hours of the day that the jitney service is running and then break out the other hours that are for the senior service, and that gives us our total.
We could break it out by hours. We could
Yeah.
break it out. We probably could break it out by ridership in the zone. So I mean, that's how we came up with establishing this you know, extra bus because of the people that are riding on the zone. But and I believe I gotta get the latest. Well, when I get the latest report from our transportation, they provide us monthly reports. I believe they've been provided to you the amount of ridership, but if you haven't received, I thought I sent you the July one recently, but I will be receiving the August one soon. So as soon as we get that, I'll send it out to you. And that'll be the ridership.
Just a second, and then I'll get to you,
No
Ms.
problem.
Bennett. I just want to be clear. The box at the top on the left says health benefits, net costs $86,000 and change. That is for the full-time, not the part-time. That's correct? Okay. Okay. Councilwoman Scarpa, I'll get you in just a second.
Okay.
Go to her first.
I'm sorry, you'll have to speak louder, please.
Okay, this is an area that I have wanted to develop a working group since I got on the council. This is a growing cost for us, that needs to be managed strategically. I'd like to know what the total ridership number is. I would like to know the cost broken down of the jitney and this for the senior services and the ridership that goes to the train station. We need to look at the cost of, in addition to all the things that Council President enumerated, we need to look at the cost of the equipment and the maintenance in addition. And we also need to look to make this a revenue generator to supplement this service. But this has to be looked at very seriously and very quickly. I've heard for 2 years that we're, looking for this and looking for that, but there's no reason why we can't get a handle on this sooner rather than later, especially since we have an advisory board now that could help us do that. Thank you.
Ms. Bennett.
Speaking of the advisory board, so one of the advisory board members sent a message that this part of the budget is missing the cost of equipment and maintenance. I don't know if that's because it's included elsewhere, but that should be indicated. There should be data driving, ridership, et cetera. It should be known. They should be collecting each trip, should know. And then lastly, I want to remind the council that one of the Budget Advisory Board recommendations was to implement a freeze in hiring any open positions at least until the end of 2025. So that open position that's there, I'm not sure if I heard correctly that there is an open position, but they've been covering. But we would suggest that they continue to take that tact instead of fully funding that position so that you could actualize a cost savings there.
I can respond.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Please.
it sounded,
To your hand.
it sounded like they are using that $36,000 for per diem drivers for Route 7. But I'm also concerned about what is this $50,000 in overtime if you're fully staffed?
So the overtime is paid to we have to have a dispatcher there at all times when the jitney service is running. So what often happens is that the supervisor that's supposed to be there in the morning and in the evening, if we're short drivers, she goes out on the road. Then I have to bring the full-time dispatcher in to cover the office and the phones and the email, and we have to pay her overtime. So we've had a lot of fluctuations with drivers and shortages and things like that. So Mr. Detiniak can tell you the exact figure, but I think we got close to that last year in overtime.
So in 24, we spent about $50,000 in overtime.
I don't think it was exactly 50. I don't know the exact figure off the top of my head, but it was high.
Okay, so we have one full-time radio dispatcher. Two?
So we have a supervisor and a dispatcher. They split the shift Monday to Friday. One comes in early, the other one's, and then she leaves. The other one works traditionally almost a 8:30 to 4:30. The other one works in the morning to get the jitney drivers out and then comes in the afternoon. So that we have a supervisor on from the beginning of the day to the end. But at times, as the director said, if somebody calls out sick at the last minute, we try to get a part-timer to come in to cover, but if that doesn't happen, we have to cover with the floating supervisor.
So
That's what the cost comes in. That's why one of the reasons why we're also looking at a pool of more drivers for the availability. To try
So
to
a
cut this
full-
number out.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So a full-time dispatcher would then go out on a route?
Yes.
So if they're being already paid as a full-time dispatcher, but they're now just covering a route, wouldn't they be being paid twice?
No, this is their salary, whatever the salary is. We would prefer not to have a dispatcher go out. It's more about the coverage of the route. There have been times we've had to actually cancel routes, or combine routes, I should say. We don't cancel, we'll combine a route for that particular period of the day, whether it be the morning or afternoon, jitney, but it's usually on a temporary And again, like, so we looked at this, we're getting these additional drivers to help lower that cost of the time.
it still doesn't make sense to me, because if you have a radio dispatcher who cannot do the radio dispatch job because they have to go out on a route.
The other person, it's called radio dispatcher. They don't really do radios anymore. They do everything by cellular phone.
Mhm.
And they call each other, and we have somebody in the office who, what they do is they coordinate phone calls, if somebody missed their jitney, or, because we also have the Passio product, which, application, which is supposed to show the passengers where the location of the bus is as it's getting ready to come up to pick them up.
Mhm.
In the event, sometimes we've had where, there may have been a technical error, or where the passenger just missed the bus and they'll call up, when's the next bus coming? So we always have somebody in the office to answer the phone, but both of them have a job to do also all the required paperwork or whatever administrative work we need to handle throughout the entire day. But
So-
sometimes we have to redirect them to drive the bus.
So who's covering the dispatcher? when-
There's at least one of them in there at any given time of the two.
So then that person is being paid a salary, but now riding the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
Driving the bus.
Driving the
Yes.
bus.
Yep.
Okay, so to me, that sounds like two salaries.
No, they're just diverted, their salary is their salary. If it's $1 an hour, they're getting paid $1 an hour to be the dispatcher or be the driver. They're being paid as a dispatcher, but sometimes they have to do a double duty. They don't get paid double for doing the duty.
What
They-
is the hourly for each?
I don't know what that number is. Do you have a number? No.
For the part-timers?
No,
For the full-timers, I know the part-timer one, I don't know what that breaks down to out.
Well, for the salary, don't you, I'm trying to think of, you break them down here, like
Mhm.
an annual salary is divided by what, 22,260 hours a
No,
year?
not
Is that what,
2180.
2180?
I'll give you the dispatcher is,
Well, Mr. Detiniak searches, perhaps Ms. Bennett, I can recognize you and,
Well, this question is for Mr. Smeraldo and Mr. Fonzino. So radio dispatcher, in the event that a radio dispatcher has to go out on the road until they reach their 40th hour, whatever their full-time hour, they're being paid their salary. It's when they exceed that number that it's overtime? Is that correct? Okay. And then what's the actual overtime spend for 2025 to date? Sorry.
and also full year 2024.
Well, that's helpful too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
so the hourly rate for the individual we're talking about is $31.19. So OT would be 46.77.
Time and a half?
Yep.
46. Okay,
77.
What's the year to date on overtime?
Our year to date on overtime is actually 52,000.
how is that possible?
And what was spent in 2024 on overtime?
Can I just make one addition why he's looking that up? This overtime is also for any of the after hours events that we do, the transportation we provide for the seniors. That's included in that number, just so you have a full understanding.
Nights and weekends.
Yeah, nights, weekends.
while you're looking that up, Mr. Detiniak, based on your number of $47 an hour for an overtime spend.
That was
fif-
that one person, yeah.
Well, so using that number, $52,000 means that there were 1,106 hours of overtime. I mean, unless my math is wrong, right? $52,000 divided by $47 equals 1,100 hours.
Yeah, I trust your math. There could be straight time in there, you said, for the events, so.
The only point I want to make is that 1,100 hours of overtime means that we're not tracking the number of hours we're staffing those vehicles outside of Jitney, because it's not Jitney hours that's causing that.
You're saying one person is getting 1,100 hours of overtime
No.
annually?
No, I'm saying that if they spent actually to date $52,000 at the rate of $47 an hour, right? It might be slightly more, might be slightly less, because there are others who are paid more or less. But at that rate, that means there's over 1,000, there's 1,100, over 1,100 hours of overtime.
That's right.
Last year was $61,774
So
for overtime.
the math there means that there's more than 50, it's about 1,500, right?
How does
So
that,
in 2024, I think it was between 23 and 24, we had two employees, well, one passed away. And one retired, and we did not fill those positions as full timers. So if we were to fill that position with a full timer, we would have to pay them the hours, which would be close to a full-time employee, and then we would have to do salary and benefits.
how about part-timers?
This was during the daytime, full timers that they're working during the daytime. It would be, we didn't explore putting in any part timers during the day because of the service we provided, but we did cut out those two positions and just filled it basically with the overtime, with any overflow. So we could explore that again and look to hire a full timer, but then we're talking about salary and benefits at that point too.
No, I'm suggesting two part-timers instead of a full-timer with benefits and.
That's always an option for discussion that we could look at.
So this is an interesting discussion. I just want to note that it's almost 3:15. We have promised everybody we would only be working until 3:30, given, I think also it's a Friday. Is this a good time to break, or do we want to continue moving on this page? Or do we want to come back?
Well, Mr. Bonzino, Director Bonzino has approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, 5 more pages. Right here. No, that's not you. Is that you? 6 more pages?
I'd like to keep going.
6 more pages he has to discuss. I don't know if we get all 6 done in here in 13 minutes on a Friday afternoon.
Not a problem. So where are we with this page? It's just really disheartening to see how much money is being spent on overtime, and I'm not sure how this is being tracked and how this can be done in a way that we reduce the overtime to nothing. Just put people in proper slots, have some backup. I don't know how to do it, but can be done, I guess.
Ms. Bennett?
Just piggybacking on that, I know that when Ms. Van Dyke was speaking with the council, she talked about the costs of busing, et cetera. And I think that this is I think this is where you're seeing additional sunken costs into those expenditures. If this is where the buses are being utilized, and seniors are important and their activities are very important, but the costs associated, especially if it's overtime that's affording those costs, you're talking about over $100,000 in the past 2 years that needs to be attributed to that expenditure.
Yes, except I think Ms. I won't speak for her, but my memory is that she was talking about trips outside of town where they rented commercial commercial buses. But you're right, they're also, jitneys are going around town on a regular basis. And I think maybe even some demand as well, but your point is well taken. Councilwoman Scarpa.
No, I'm okay. I just hit the wrong button. Something happened on my computer. I'm good.
Okay. So I guess one of the questions is, do we want to get more information on this page before we give consent, or how do you want to move forward?
Well, I just have a question and then I'd like to move forward, but I'd like to get this addressed. Who is responsible for managing all of the OT? Is there a person?
Yeah, this falls under the health department, under the director, but collectively, the director and I work on this.
So are you overseeing every single day on who's getting overtime?
Yeah, yes.
Can you suggest ways to manage this better so that we're not incurring this expense?
I mean, we are gonna look at a couple of things like you suggested with the part-time as an option, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We want to look into, having like actually having people split the shift so that there's no need to have somebody stay and work overtime because we're short. But the bottom line is we need somebody there to monitor, as Mr. Smeraldo said, the Passio system, because it does fail from time to time and people can't see it. They have questions, so they'll call or they'll email or they'll send us a message through that system. But there's somebody at the desk looking at all the activity of the buses live and there to answer the phones and emails that come in. So there's definitely a necessity, but I agree with you. We need to find a better way to save here. And I'm committed to working with Mr. Smeraldo to do that.
My hand is up. I don't know if you see it.
I'm waiting for Councilwoman Rudin to
I'm
give
done.
some
Thank you.
indication. Guys, you can see, it will move much faster if at the end of your talk, you just say thank you. So it's just, things will move faster. Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yeah, I propose once again that we immediately formulate a working group to look at this in detail. Perhaps the Citizens Budget Advisory Board can help us with that.
Oh, I don't know. They're pretty shy. And they don't like work. And they don't like work under pressure. So I'm not sure that will ever happen.
I think we need a really competent team to do this.
Yeah, that certainly, once we can get more of this data, we can figure out who should take it forward. Ms. Bennett.
To state the obvious, that is the job of the business administrator of this township. And the fact that for the past 2 years, you've had this level of overspending on overtime means that it has not been properly managed.
Well, I disagree. Mr. Smeraldo has been the business administrator for, I think, 4 months. Let's see, May, June, July, August, not even 4 months. So I don't know exactly what the responsibilities are in the 4 years that I was not involved with the council, but I think he should be part of the solution, definitely. But this does seem ripe for further management of these costs. And just as a reminder, we used to hire a company to provide the drivers, and the costs just went through the roof. You think this stuff is expensive. When we had an outside service, it was unbelievably expensive. So
Council President,
just
to clarify, my comments were not directed at Mr. Smeraldo. My comments were that the business administrator of this township, whomever held the role, should be held responsible for the fact that there has been overspending, overtime spending, and a lack of management of this. I'm not pointing the finger at Mr.
Oh,
Smiralco.
okay, okay.
He's only been interim or acting for a very short period of
Right.
time.
So that was my
Just to
mistake.
clarify.
My mistake. So I apologize. But it certainly does seem ripe to work on this, and I will certainly talk to Mr. Charles about whether this is something that they want to contribute to a solution. Does that work for you, Councilwoman Scarpa? Let me talk.
Yes,
to
I've been saying for 2 years that we need a working group or a team, because this is a little bit of an undertaking and we need as many minds on this as possible.
I would tend to agree on
Thank you.
that. Okay, so it's now 3:24. We had said we were going to stop at 3:30. So we're still on this page. And I have little hope that we will get through this page and even another page. So this may be the time to break. Do I hear agreement on that? Is I'm the only one who has plans for late Friday afternoon? Or the rest of you guys want to stay? Yeah, okay. So you want to go too? Mr. Fagan?
It's not that I want to go, Council President. When we were arranging the dates and times, I made a commitment based on this meeting ended around 3:30. Certainly I can stay a little longer, but not much longer.
Well said, well said. So we, I don't know if I have the power to do this, but I'm just going to unilaterally say, yeah, we're going to stop this at 3:30 and we're all going to go to our other lives.
Has to be that loud.
But our next meeting, our next workshop, I believe is Monday, starting at 6 p.m. And you might be pleased, if not excited, to know that on Monday, the Citizens Budget Advisory Board is going to spend somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to discuss their draft report. And I don't know where that draft report stands, but I'm hoping we can get it online so that people can read it ahead of time if we can do that, or if not, just follow along. But I think I've talked about this before. It is amazing report. It's just really well done. And I think there might be some updating going on, but we're going to talk about it to start the meeting, and we may even be doing it again. I think the next workshop is scheduled for Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, so we may be talking about it there as well. So
So Council President,
Yes.
if that report is ready by Monday, if it's sent to us, we
I
can
know,
get it placed online.
I will get it to you as soon as I can get it. I just don't know what the status of it is. But Mr. Charles, just by the way, Mr. Charles is the chair of the board. He and I have talked about getting this updated. I'm hoping and online even today. But I don't know if that's the case, but certainly we need to try to get this done over the weekend or first thing Monday, because obviously you guys need to be able to see it, and we're just in between. I think we're just in between versions. But as soon as it's updated, we will get it to you.
So, Council President, just to that point only, there is a draft report that I'm actually looking at. I think I need to find out if we're comfortable. So there's one email that needs to go out amongst the board members just to make sure that we're ready to submit the draft. I know that we would like the opportunity to be able to make some amendments based on your feedback and comments. So we're probably going to submit in draft form and then provide an updated form after we've had the opportunity to meet with you on Monday night,
Okay.
Thursday as well.
So the plan is not to update the draft with a further updated draft before the workshop Monday?
So we could do that. We have some updates that could be made. I just have to check and make sure with the
Okay.
board members if that's the plan to do that.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
if you could just let the council members know,
And we'll get it over through Mr. Charles. We'll get it over to you as soon as possible.
super.
So Council President, just for housekeeping items, so we're going to continue with Director Fonzino on Monday night to start after the presentation, and then I would ask Director Reynolds to come in. I think
Mhm.
since his is voluminous, I think those are the only two directors I would ask to come
Okay.
in, if that's.
Yeah, I think that works. Councilwoman Rudin, you're the one that's done a lot of this
Mhm.
behind the scenes work, so
Mhm. Yes,
that works
that's
for you.
fine.
Okay. That's
I think that's a full plate for us, considering the size of the remainder of his budget and the remainder of Director Reynolds, but the size of Director Reynolds' budget.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
And if you don't have enough time to bring the information and data and response that we've mentioned before, before Monday, we can bring it back maybe Thursday or maybe even later, whatever time you need to get your response, in detail. That would be good.
I'll do my best. I'll try to get you something for Monday, but if not, I'll get it to you as soon as possible.
Yes, and I also recognize you have volunteered a great deal of your day off today to either sit in the benches or up here. So I greatly appreciate it. I think the rest of us appreciate it as well. I think we made a lot of progress.
I'm not off.
Oh, you're not?
He's putting in for the day now.
I was working as I was sitting there.
Oh, okay. Thought for sure. Anyway, thank you for correcting.
Yeah,
Is there anything else?
I don't get many days off.
Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second,
All
second,
those in favor?
Thank you.
aye.
Great, thank you. West Orange, see you on Monday, 6 p.m.